Chapter 603. Second Uncle, I can buy an Empyrean ice tree spear. Bai Xiao suddenly said. The deputy looked at Lian Bojun hesitantly. Boss, the other side is very angry with our actions. They think that we broke the agreement and did not keep our word. What? You were attacked by pirates? It was a pirate fleet. Oh my god. There are actually pirates in the sea near our White Sands continent. A beautiful lady used a feather fan to cover her mouth, her face filled with fear. Bai Yu suddenly stood up. That's right. Bai Yu nodded his head. I'll give you another 1 billion, that should be enough. That thing is not bad, and it's also good for keeping its value. It's also good to please your mentor. Didn't he come up with the blue poison project back then? It's because there aren't enough Empyrean ice tree spears. To be able to do this, they were worthy of being called elites. What do you think? Think about it. Bai Yu winked. Your kindness and benevolence are as precious as gold. At this time it has proven that you were right. Another beautiful woman praised. After more than 10 minutes he finally reacted. He stumbled and ran out with a pale face. He wanted to report this incomparably important discovery to his master. A woman could exchange for an entire fleet. Was this woman made of gold? Even gold wasn't worth that much. The deputy grinned like a bandit. Ah, that's how I answered them. What kind of rubbish is this? How dare you point your fingers at us? Are you tired of living? A fleet? The deputy stuttered, his face blank. Not enough. Bai Xiao shook her head. Bai Xiao looked at Bai Yu in shock and was speechless for a moment. Ning Hai was leisurely drinking tea and eating snacks. It would take half a day for the results to come out. There's no mistake. Bai Xiao tried to curry favor with him. Second uncle, give it to me first. I have already informed my teacher about the news, and asked my family to send money over. Bai Xiao had a face of helplessness. Second uncle, what are you thinking about? Although I admire you, Ran, but there are no romantic feelings between us. I'm borrowing money from you for something else. Bai Xiao ignored him and continued. The Empyrean ice tree spear was bought from him. But I didn't have enough money, so I only bought 100 of them. 2 billion, this should be enough. I am going to die of poverty. Bai Yu said helplessly. 46 people had to control a honeycomb sword cannon and a beheading light machine to repel a group of pirates. It was obvious that it required an extremely high frequency of attacks. Ning Hai casually picked up the report, but after a few glances he suddenly jumped up and said incoherently, How is this possible? How is this possible? Did he make a mistake today? He pulled at his hair in agony, which meant that he needed to do it all over again. This was the Suji worldwide commerce, and the requirements were extremely strict. If the boss knew that he had made such a big mistake in his work, then he wouldn't be able to continue working. Where did they go after that? Lian Bojun continued to ask. Ning Hai was White Sands Suji Worldwide Commerce's most famous material appraiser, and was in charge of valuing materials. This was a job that many people were jealous of. The salary was high and the work was quite easy. Are they very powerful? Salad. Lian Bojun did not even raise his head. Where are they? Bai Yu became excited. I want to see them. The noblewomen sitting in a circle were all shocked at this moment. His second uncle Bai Yu was his idol when he was young, becoming the commander of an army at the age of 16. Such qualifications in any continent would cause people to be dumbstruck. In the 20 years after that he had defeated many strong enemies, and became the #1 military general of the Bai family, and was the true authoritative figure of the Bai family. Seems like it was an accident. Lian Bojun said the battlefield was always filled with accidents. Furthermore, they were a group of pirates, which meant even more. Everyone started to talk, but luckily Qin Yu Ran was familiar with it and could handle it easily. Second uncle, you really don't care about me. Bai Xiao grumbled, but his face did not show any dissatisfaction. It was a luxurious manner. Well, let them be angry. Lian Bojun did not even raise his head. We are pirates. Do pirates need to be trustworthy? Borrow money. Bai Yu's killing intent soared. We definitely cannot let this batch of Empyrean ice tree spears land in other people's hands. That old man's luck is truly good. This time he got lucky. I hope he can truly research out the Empyrean ice tree. Not enough. Bai Xiao shook his head firmly. On top of it was a pile of dazzling data, which could only be seen from the most despicable metal aristocratic families. Elites. At the other corner of the hall, Bai Xiao and a middle-aged man were holding wine cups, chatting happily. 40-odd people. Lian Bo-jun muttered, it matched. Seems like the other party most likely has an outstanding military general, using a high synchronization rate, to allow 40-odd people to bear the energy burden at the same time. When I heard that you guys met with pirates, I was shocked. The middle-aged man laughed, but after thinking about it, with your strength, no matter how bad you are, you will still be able to escape, so I was not anxious. What? Lacking money? Bai Yu glanced at Qin Yu Ran and ridiculed. Did you spend all your money chasing after girls? But Xiaobai, if you are able to hug the beauty, second uncle will definitely support you from home. As for your father, I will go and persuade him. How about that? If you don't dare, then you are admitting defeat. He had come to White Sands continent for business, and did not expect to meet his nephew. How long can Miss Yu Ran stay in White Sands this time? When the evening sun appeared outside the window, the evaluation report for the black gold ingot had already been completed. Sitting down at the table, he noticed the metal ingot on the table. It was a black metal ingot, smooth and smooth. He picked it up and was surprised. The metal ingot was much heavier than he had expected. This made him look forward to it, and from that it could be seen that it was much denser. Second uncle, can you lend me some money? Bai Xiao asked with a shy face and came over. When the second report was in front of Ning Hai, he was completely dumbfounded. Oh my god. Time flew by quickly and he took another nap. How much does that guy have? Bai Yu was dumbfounded. Suji Worldwide Commerce. Just as Ning Hai walked into the laboratory, a manager welcomed him. Ning Hai, there is a metal ingot on your table. The boss wants you to do a comprehensive evaluation on it. You must be fast. On the second day, when the final result was out. Boss, we checked it out. The assistant was extremely excited. It's a group, they have 40-odd people and the leader is a brat. Along the way they met Qin Yu Ran on the ship. I heard that she was staying in the cargo hold and met us, that's why they took action. I heard that the Bloodwood warships were sent to the Eternal Light shipyard to be repaired and maintained, and spent some money to bribe the people in the shipyard, and went up to take a look. A honeycomb sword cannon and slash machine were completely destroyed by them. It should be due to the overload, causing the machine to explode. Bai Yu laughed out loud. Anyways, you're a cockroach, you won't die so easily. He threw his carefree thoughts to the back of his mind, and started to treat the evaluation seriously. He did not return at night but stayed in the Suji Worldwide Commerce, and carefully repeated the experiment in the day, concentrating on it. Then what do we do now? The assistant asked blankly. Why did he not understand what the boss was talking about? But upon thinking about the fleet that slipped through his fingers, he sucked in a breath of cold air, his mouth twitching, his face showing pain. Really? Bai Yu was adept at fighting. He quickly calculated in his mind and suddenly raised his head. There's difficulty. Empyrean ice tree spears? Bai Yu was startled, the smile on his face disappeared. Empyrean ice tree spears? You want to borrow money to buy the Empyrean ice tree spears? Wait a minute. Bai Yu was startled. You said there are over 100 deadly Empyrean ice tree spears? Are you kidding me? How can there be so many Empyrean ice tree spears? No matter what, I have to buy all of them. Bai Xiao added. This group of pirates have a black dragon warship and 10 frigates. Good. Ning Hai did not haggle, it was his job. I also feel that it is impossible. Bai Xiao said, but I saw it with my own eyes. The honeycomb sword cannon and slash machine were all destroyed. They were unable to withstand the energy load and broke. At that time I was prepared to rush out and risk my life, but when I saw the spiraling slash that covered the sky, I was dumbstruck. Yes. Bai Xiao said softly, the pirates we met this time were repelled by them. 46 men, first a honeycomb sword cannon, suddenly a slash machine, and repelled the pirates. Impossible. Bai Yu's gaze exploded and he blurted out. They parted ways with Bai Xiao and Qin Yu Ran, and their whereabouts are unknown. The adjutant continued. The people close to Qin Yu Ran are not easy to bribe. How to evaluate a material's value had a set of mature procedures. As long as they followed the procedures, there would not be any problems. Not lending. Bai Yu shook his head. Not picking up girls, definitely not lending. Really? The smile on Bai Yu's face slowly disappeared. She knew that Big Brother Meng Nan and the rest did not want outsiders to know, so she spoke very vaguely. Their schemes are too big. Lian Bo-jun said, this time we should not get too deep. A pity Qin Yu Ran did not fall into our hands, if not we could have earned a fleet. Furthermore, to be able to change the situation with just 40-odd men, such a team, if they were not elites, what were they? They have money. Lian Bojun did not have any expression, but a cold glint flashed past his eyes. Qin Yuran is an indispensable part of their plan. Really? Bai Xiao did not hesitate. If checked. Bai Xiao simply spat out these 4 words. Yes, the situation was very dangerous. Qin Yuran smiled. But our luck was good. The merchants who boarded the ship gave us a lot of help. In the end, we managed to repel the pirates. Such a task was already extremely easy for Ninghai. At least 1,000 of them. Bai Xiao was certain. So many. Bai Yu jumped in shock. Are you sure? Bai Xiao immediately pulled him back. Second uncle, where are you going? Second uncle, how can I be wrong? Did you forget who my teacher is? Bai Xiao retorted. Hey Xiao Bai, are you having a fever? Bai Yu extended his hand out to touch Bai Xiao's forehead, his face filled with disbelief. If you said 1 or 200 I would believe it, but you said 1,000? Ah, you definitely fell for it. Too naive, young man. Only high-level blue dwarves will have Empyrean ice tree spears, and they will definitely not sell them. They are definitely lying to you. Chapter 604. What a weird way to fly. Pa pa pa. In the next moment the figure of the person appeared again. The wooden houses that were painted in all sorts of colors from the edge of the city, it extended far into the distance, forming a gigantic colorful maze. Every inch of land in White Sands City was worth its weight in gold, while the land outside of the city was much cheaper. To the Sacred Saint Galaxy people who knew how to fly, such a distance was nothing. Gradually, it formed a business circle that was dominated by large businesses, while the outside of the city was dominated by small businesses. If you care about it, then you will do it. That is what a real man should do. If you say that you are not angry or magnanimous, you will be lying to yourself. Dense explosions sounded out. Tang Tian had shrunk into a ball, like a spring that was compressed to its limit. He strangely stopped in the air, as though there was an invisible wall in front of him. Young Miss Ling. Tang Tian did not care about it. He was extremely focused. It was his first time flying at such a high speed. Although his adaptive skill standard had increased, but flying at such a high speed, adding the need to avoid other people, he needed to be 120% focused. If he was not careful, he would lose control of his body and fall. With Tang Tian's perverse body, it would definitely not be good. If he were to bump into someone else, he would definitely not have any problems, but if the other party was not able to raise their energy barrier in time, then he would lose his life. Almost without thinking, she hurriedly put up an energy barrier. The skinny man nodded his head. He did not say a word, his gaze landing on Tang Tian. Who is it to be so rude? Xianxia had just come out from the groundsmaster's residence. Her face was still flushed with excitement. She had finally met young Miss Yuran, and even spoke a few words with her. She was still immersed in excitement. The passers-by on the road exclaimed, and all opened up a path. Young Miss Ling's temper was like her nickname. She hated evil and was the big sister of White Sands. All of the young thugs in White Sands, upon seeing young Miss Ling, would tuck their tails between their legs and become docile and obedient. Are these the real underworld continent's demonic mounts? Oh my god, to dare play with Big Sister, how fierce must he be? Such a good show, I definitely cannot miss it. How can there be such a person who can just turn around and leave? Xianxia was startled and immediately became angry. Soon Tang Tian noticed the woman chasing after him. He even turned around to look. After confirming that he didn't know her, he decided to ignore her. However, after a while the other party was still behind him. Tang Tian frowned. He suddenly turned around and entered the alley between the wooden houses. Now, Tang Tian was a little surprised. If they collided head-on at such a high speed, the consequences would be, he bounced up from the ground. His unique ability immediately attracted the attention of the people in the sky. What was going on? Xianxia increased her speed, and immediately 2 dazzling lines of fire lit up beside her, revolving around her body. Hansen patted his chest in a fawning manner. I will definitely do it well. Shursen thought about it and agreed. With master strength, he was not someone that anyone could casually make a move against. He solemnly bowed to Tang Tian. Master, I shall set off now. Walking out of the mercenary center, Shursen's expression was normal, but his heart was stifling with anger. He was secretly determined to rebuild the reputation of the underworld continent's demonic mounts. The yellow hair once again injected energy and repeated what he had said. Thinking about how she did not sense anyone approaching, Xianxia became even angrier. Since when had she suffered such a loss in White Sands City? Snorting, Xianxia suddenly increased her speed and rushed towards the other party. Master, this subordinate wishes to go to the underworld continent. Zhou Xian suddenly spoke up. Xia's pupils constricted. She was shocked. How is that possible? And when the Qin continent's tyrannical mounts appeared, and revealed Zhou Xian's true identity, the underworld continent's demonic mounts, everyone immediately became excited. The decline of the underworld continent's demonic mounts stemmed from the fact that fish and dragons mixed together, making it hard to differentiate between the real and the fake. The true underworld continent's demonic mounts' strength had long become a mystery. An underworld continent's demonic mounts cost 2,500,000 of them. 1 billion master handed over 1.5 billion cloud coins. With a burst of strength from his legs, Tang Tian shot out like an arrow, rushing towards Xianxia. Area D was already filled with people, and in the corner a few people were discussing softly. Zhou Xian was ecstatic. That's great. Ghost face mask. She did not have the time to react, and both parties clashed. Xianxia, who was prepared to withstand the impact, did not feel any force at all. Hansen immediately said, if you want to go to the underworld continent, this subordinate knows a boss who specializes in doing business between the underworld continent and the White Sands continent. You can board his cargo ship, and with the fastest speed, you will only need 7 to 8 days to reach the underworld continent. Such a method of flying without any energy undulations was unheard of, and to be able to travel at such a fast speed, how could anyone not be shocked? It was not only Xianxia. All of the silk pants who came to watch the commotion had their faces change, revealing expressions of fear. Such a high-speed collision, even with the protection of the energy barrier, they would definitely be injured. The other party's figure was like a shadow, rushing towards her at an astonishing speed. Xianxia was originally flying at full speed, and could only watch as the other party rushed towards her. All sorts of exclamations and discussions were ignored by Tang Tian, and continued to increase his speed. A series of light explosions sounded out, like the sound of a bubble bursting as Tang Tian increased his speed. Suddenly, Tang Tian felt an indescribable emotion. He took out his money card. All right, be careful on the road. The entire White Sands silk pants world was in an uproar, and all of them came out in full force. Zhou Xian took the money card and said anxiously, Master, I don't need so much. Yes, Master. Zhou Xian replied, the underworld continent is not far from the White Sands. If we are fast, we can reach there in 12 days, adding the recruitment time within a month. This subordinate will definitely be able to bring back 500 underworld continent demonic mounts. Is he seeking death? Her face changed. Not good. With that, if Tang Tian still did not know that the other party was coming for him, then he would be too stupid. So fast. Big sister. And all the silk pants who were watching the battle from the sky, after a few seconds of silence, all of them exploded. This place is not far from the hotel. We can just walk around and go back. You don't have to worry about me. Furthermore, it's not like I don't have the strength to protect myself. Tang Tian waved his hand and said without a care. Suddenly, a young man with dyed yellow hair swayed in the sky in boredom. Suddenly, his gaze was attracted by a flash of light. Hansen brought Zhou Xian and his group and set off. Wait a minute. Xianxia had displayed extremely strong talent since young, and was the most dazzling person among the youths of the White Sands. She had a straightforward temper and was not calm enough, but she never pushed the blame away from her mistakes, and everyone was convinced and quickly became the big sister of the younger generation in White Sands. Furthermore, she had the possibility of becoming the first female commander in the history of the White Sands continent. Tang Tian did not advise Zhou Xian to not be bothered, but how could he not be bothered? How could he not be bothered? De Sin had already restrained himself. If it was him, he would definitely beat up the Qin continent tyrannical mounts. With a cold snort, Tang Tian used his waist as an axis, and flipped his body. His original head forward and feet back became feet forward and head back. His legs moved at an astonishing speed and stepped in the air. What made them feel even more inconceivable was that the other party did not use an energy barrier. This made many people disappointed. A man who dared to challenge their big sister must be a true man. Xia's Ling family was not considered rich in White Sands, but it had a long history. The Ling family had a good reputation, and every generation of the Ling family patriarch had a noble character and was respected. After generations of accumulation, the Ling family became the most powerful family in White Sands City. When he saw the line of fire, he became excited. What? Racing with Big Sister? What the fuck? Who is so fierce? I'm coming. The confrontation between the Qin continent tyrannical mounts and the underworld continent's demonic mounts immediately ignited everyone's passion. Xianxia suddenly realized that the other party's face revealed a look of delight, and even made a funny face at her. Many people could not help but become excited. Any legend would cause people's hearts to palpitate. The rise of the underworld continent's demonic mounts was filled with legends, and after witnessing Zhou Xian's strength, everyone then understood that the real underworld continent's demonic mounts were actually so powerful. Zhou Xian's eyes turned red, such a huge sum was the master's trust in him. After struggling for so many years, he had never experienced the trust of 1.5 billion. I didn't use any energy. Although the citizens were shocked, but they were not afraid of Xianxia. The Ling family's teachings were strict, and since young Big Sister Ling had always hated evil and had punished countless of silk pants, but to the ordinary citizens she was extremely kind. No worries, bring more money with you if you have good qualities, you can recruit more. The precious Bright Village Regiment is still lacking many officers. Tang Tian said. Those floating in the air, densely packed, yet colorful little wooden houses, attracted Tang Tian's interest. One was an elite that was like the sun in the sky, the other was a glorious king in the past. When they clashed, sparks would definitely fly. But no one expected that the Qin continent's tyrannical mounts would actually turn and leave, without any intention to make a move. Is that a secret technique? He started to increase his speed and chase after the line of fire, but when he saw that there was another person in front of Big Sister, he became even more excited. A metal plate appeared in his hand, he injected energy into it and roared, "Hey Bin, quickly come to the north of the city, there's a good show. Big Sister is racing with someone else." Suddenly, a shadow flashed past her side, bringing with it a gale that blew her long hair into a mess. Everyone had the mood to watch the show. The distance between them quickly closed. Xianxia recovered from the shock. She clenched her teeth and prepared to receive the attack. The distance between them was already less than 20 m, and she could clearly see the expression on the other party's face. In the blink of an eye, Tang Tian was left alone. The streets were filled with people and the sky was extremely crowded. But because the city lord did not wish for the sky to be blocked, the sky above White Sands City was not allowed to have any structures. All of the structures in the sky were arranged outside the city. Zhou Xian was worried. Then master's safety. She, who was at a loss, rushed out and crashed into a wooden house. The wooden house suddenly lit up with an energy barrier. Bang! Xianxia was stunned. The yellow hair had informed everyone he knew. Is he crazy? Bring them over, be careful on the road. Tang Tian instructed. Tang Tian said to Han Xin, Sin, bring them to find your friends and then directly return to the hotel. Fiery flame. Are they here for us? The person who spoke was skinny, his voice was low and hoarse, his expression indifferent. I don't think so, they seem to be here to replenish their manpower. The green-robed man shook his head. Oh, they have already left. So it's the underworld continent's demonic mounts, no wonder. He was dressed in dark green robes, his expression was sinister. When he opened his eyes, a cold light shot out in all directions. In the mercenary center, the commotion in Area D had caused the entire center to be in an uproar. Zhou Xian and the rest had displayed their powerful strength, causing everyone to exclaim out in surprise. Tang Tian looked at Zhou Xian, his face that was filled with the vicissitudes of life, his white hair and beard that were as tough as steel, his muddy eyes lit up with a light aura, like the embers of a bonfire being blown away by the wind, suddenly lighting up with a bright red light. Chapter 605. Tang Tian was like an agile fish swimming around the messy wooden houses. Thinking about how he had tricked the opponent, Tang Tian's heart was filled with joy. You want to fight with me? No way. Suddenly, she saw a figure in front of her from the corner of her eyes. She clenched her fists tightly, veins popping out, her valiant and formidable-looking face was filled with anger. She rushed into the alley that the opponent had rushed into and looked around, but where could she find him? She suddenly lost track of him. Xia's mind was roused. A few figures pounced onto Tang Tian at the same time. They suddenly turned and sprinted forward, and when they were 3 m away from Big Sister Boss, They used their afterimages to confuse Big Sister Boss, causing her to lose control and crash into the wooden house. Xia's face suddenly flushed red. What everyone found even more unbelievable was that Big Sister Boss was actually at a disadvantage. Seeing Big Sister Boss crash into the wooden house's energy barrier, it was as though they had seen a ghost. Tang Tian's eyes became serious. Xia clenched her teeth and without hesitation she increased her speed and chased. The opponent did not escape but quietly floated in the air. Expert. Her figure flashed and she disappeared again. Tang Tian felt that it was unreasonable. Does she want to fight? He was too lazy to run compared to the endless chase and chase. It was much easier to settle it by fighting. Flames suddenly lit up the alley in front of him. Tang Tian's expression turned cold and brazenly rushed towards the opponent. One after another, the figures were sent flying, accompanied by explosions and screams. But the young man who relied on his own strength to weave the net was like a ghost. Tang Tian jumped in fright and ran once again. Everyone had the same question in their mind. The young man's voice was filled with killing intent. We're here. Tang Tian let go of his hands and feet, not holding back at all. Xia felt as though she was in a perilous situation. The opponent's attack rate was so high that she had never heard of it before. The torrential attacks did not give her any time to breathe, her mind was blank and she could only instinctively defend. Asshole. Strangely, Xia's heart was filled with intense fear. She regretted her rash actions. In their eyes, this fellow was just a little mouse that had no other ability other than running away. How could he be Big Sister's opponent in a direct confrontation? In their eyes, this operation was just like a game and it was just for fun. The energy barrier shattered like rain and another figure flew out. Tang Tian snorted, he punched the fiery light. The null flames coiled around the fiery light, causing the fiery light to be extinguished as though it was doused with water. The silk pants almost couldn't believe their eyes. In that short instant, too many inconceivable details had appeared. That kind of sudden stop that completely defied common sense, the astonishing burst of power in the opposite direction, and the instant before the two sides collided, the perfect 90-degree right-angle deviation. In comparison, Afterimage's move was the least technical. But this afterimage, which was the least technical, allowed the series of attacks to become nimble. Xia, who was already on the verge of collapse, finally revealed a flaw. Tang Tian's eyes lit up with a cold aura, his figure suddenly appearing behind Xia. The blondie's vision blurred, and a figure appeared in front of him like a ghost. He quivered and subconsciously put up an energy barrier with all his strength. He was about to go in and take a look, when he suddenly saw a fiery light from the corner of his eyes. Xia, who had just felt that she had a chance to catch her breath, had no choice but to use all her strength to block. Sparks flew everywhere, her body trembled, she was unable to control her body and rushed forward 2 steps. Bang! Xia swayed and stabilized her body, although she had the protection of the energy barrier, but the impact was not light for her. Only after 10 seconds did she regain her senses. She was already thinking, who exactly was the man? Such a strange flight should be an obvious characteristic, but no matter how she racked her brains, she could not think of anyone. Tang Tian relaxed once again and regained his relaxed look. You want to fight with me? You're still too inexperienced. Xia did not say a word, she extended her body and flew towards the right. She was a White Sands native and had played hide and seek here since young, and was extremely familiar with the shops. I did not provoke her, but she's still lingering around. Every wooden house was a shop, and as far as the eye could see, they were densely packed. How many shops are there? Tang Tian was secretly speechless. Wait a minute, he suddenly reacted. Why did I have to run? He patted his head in frustration. Who is she? Both parties started an intense chase between the densely packed wooden houses. Every time Tang Tian would be able to shake her off, but after a while she would catch up again. Bang bang bang. So powerful. Women are weak. What a joke. When Chia dominated Andrew City, she had beaten up so many men to the point of hugging their heads and crying in pain. These words appeared in the minds of the onlookers at the same time. Ganging up on me? Xia's soul was about to leave her body. She knew that she had kicked an iron board. That asshole's figure once again appeared in her vision. Using her waist as a whip, her legs as a whip, her power suddenly erupted. Why are you chasing me? Just at that moment, the metal plate on her body suddenly trembled. Energy was injected into the metal plate. causing it to immediately light up with a gentle light aura, and a familiar voice came out. Xia's face changed. She suddenly realized that her actions of being angry had already violated a taboo. She wanted to speak up, but a figure had already rushed in front of her. She did not even have time to say a word and could only defend in panic. Big sister, he is 30 to your right in front of old Lin's shop. The metal plate on her body buzzed again, and Tang Tian's position was exposed once again. The silk pants were ignited by Tang Tian's crazy performance. She was the big sister who could do whatever she wanted in the White Sands continent, and there had never been anyone who could make her eat so much. A fist smashed onto her energy barrier, causing it to shatter in an instant, and the light aura dissipated. The crazy woman just now rushed towards him angrily. The anger in Xia's heart dissipated by half. She had to admit that without the help of her comrades, she would not be able to catch up to him. He looked to be a very young man, but he had astonishing attainments in escaping. Those with strength naturally won respect easily. But when Tang Tian's fist destroyed Xia's energy barrier, the faces of the silk pants all changed. All of them were experienced people. Fighting and brawling was a common occurrence, and they could tell with one look if it was real or not. Without stopping, Tang Tian tiptoed and extended his body. Like a reverse bow, he drew a beautiful arc and coincidentally blocked the path of a fatty. Big sister, head west. That person is behind the 7th house on the west side of you. Her reaction was extremely fast. She knew that it was too late to say anything, and the most important thing was to block the opponent's attack. One of the silk pants pointed out Tang Tian's position excitedly. Xia was like a bird that had fallen into a net. No matter how she struggled, she was unable to break free. I was fooled. The moment Tang Tian made his move on Xia, all of the silk pants were startled, but then they all laughed out loud. Could it be that this fellow wanted to compete with Big Sister? Oh my god, how is that possible? He must be sick. The strength of the opponent's fists far exceeded her imagination. The energy barrier that she had erected in front of the iron fists was as weak as paper. What made Xia feel even more terrifying was the gray flames that coiled around the fists. The unknown gray flames released an aura that caused people's hearts to palpitate. Regardless of how powerful the energy was, as long as it struck, it would be destroyed. I was actually fooled by the most ordinary afterimage. Asshole. Who is he? Big sister. This time she did not increase her speed, but quietly got closer to the opponent. But Tang Tian's alertness was much stronger than she thought. When she was about 30 away from Tang Tian noticed her. Tang Tian, who was never patient, was completely annoyed. Other people might have misgivings about Xia being a woman, but in Tang Tian's eyes, there was no difference between a man and a woman. Tang Tian jumped in fright. Without thinking, he turned and ran. It was as though he was struck by a heavy hammer. The energy barrier immediately crumbled. It was unable to withstand such a powerful force. The yellow hair was sent flying as though he was struck by a wild beast. He curiously swept his gaze across the different types of wooden houses. Every wooden house had a signboard in front of them. On it was the scope of their business and a few of their products. He immediately threw the matter to the back of his head. It was just a small interlude on the road, and he did not care about such a small interlude. The terrain of the city was extremely suitable for escaping. Tang Tian's pulling handle did not have any energy undulations, and was proficient in changing directions. He was like a slippery loach, weaving in and out of the wooden houses, and in the blink of an eye he had shaken off the opponent. The commercial district of the outer city was filled with densely packed wooden houses, and people needed to travel back and forth between the wooden houses. It was like a gigantic and colorful maze, and if one was not careful they would get lost. The complicated terrain made it a haven for criminals. It was easy to shake off the pursuers as well as ambushes and assassinations. Tang Tian took the chance to change directions and blocked the reinforcements coming from the other direction and sent them flying with a punch. Bang! The opponent's flying method was too strange. The way he changed directions was extremely fast, and his speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, Xia once again lost sight of him. The few silk pants closest to them all rushed towards the two of them. No matter what, they could not let Big Sister get injured. Her slender snow-white neck was grabbed by a hand. Xia never thought that the opponent would actually be so slippery, and in the blink of an eye, disappeared again. But she had already made arrangements and her metal plate buzzed again. The hand was like an iron claw. Xianxia only felt the back of her neck tighten. The intense feeling of suffocation caused her mind to go blank. Tang Tian was like a bolt of lightning that kept on reflecting, revolving around Xia's surroundings at an astonishing speed. He continued to shoot out. No one was able to break through his defense, and all those who tried to get close were instantly sent flying. He stood still and waited for the opponent to appear again. Xia's mouth revealed a confident smile. All of the silk pants that were watching the commotion were all used as sentries by her, and were scattered in every corner of the area. Regardless of which direction the opponent tried to escape to, they would never be able to escape from the inescapable net. Pa pa pa, the light and concentrated explosions sounded out like the beating of a war drum. One person facing so many people was actually not at a disadvantage. Furthermore, women who dared to cause trouble outside were all difficult to deal with. Xia's face then completely changed. The opponent had unleashed his killing intent. Bang! A ray of light suddenly lit up like a fire snake. It pounced towards Tang Tian. An inescapable net. Borrowing the force, Tang Tian took the opportunity to step forward, appearing behind Xia and threw out another punch. Chapter 606. Tang Tian's question was not heard by the people who were further away, but they still reported to the Ling family. The Ling family had a good reputation in the White Sands continent, and many people had received the Ling family's kindness, and even more people had business relations with the Ling family. Tang Tian frowned. He did not like the aura that the man was emitting. He Ying did not give way. He lowered his head and twirled the wine cup in his hand and said, "It's rare to meet Miss Ling. Why don't we have a drink together? Miss Ling's competitors are not weak. Let's all drink and exchange some feelings." The body that was like a small mountain fiercely smashed onto the dining table, causing it to shatter into pieces, wine splattering everywhere. Heng Shan was in a mess. His face was covered in blood and he did not move an inch. He Ying's face was ashen as the commander of the Second Army. When had anyone dared to be so impudent in front of him? Who is he? Tang Tian poked a silk pants beside him. Xia looked at Tang Tian in a daze. At that moment she did not know what to say. From now on we are all brothers. Let me go. Brother, you are too fierce. Tang Tian's feet firmly stepped on Heng Shan's face. Xia's face was ashen. He Ying's words were filled with threats. It was extremely obvious. Tang Tian's expression was focused. He carefully and cautiously observed his surroundings. Although he did not know the identity of the crazy girl in his hands, but from the looks of it she had some background. Xia, who was tightly grabbed by the neck, her messy hair, pale white face, her eyes filled with fear. She was so weak that it made people feel pity for her. What? Brother Meng is here to run business? I have nothing to say. This little brother's family has a few shops, just one word from me. Her tone did not have the slightest bit of happiness. Oh. Tang Tian was enlightened. He let go of Xia and flaunted. How is it? It's powerful, right? This is my own creation. It's called Ganba. Are you shocked, young lady? This is a small matter, Brother Meng. If you say thank you, then you are ridiculing us. She then floated to the people who came to help and thanked them one by one. After doing all this, he turned around and flew back to Tang Tian's side. For a person who was very likely to become a marquis of a region, no amount of attention could be paid to him. Dry pull, that's dry pull, isn't it? I created it myself. And who is this guy? Tang Tian tilted his head and asked Xia. Xia replied, the way you fly. Why are you chasing me? Tang Tian scanned his surroundings, his feet not stopping at all. Impudent. A fierce-looking, short and sturdy-looking burly man stepped out from the crowd and blocked in front of He Ying. He squinted his eyes and said coldly, "You dare to be rude to master, you must be tired of living." In his dictionary there was no such thing as a latecomer. He had always believed in the idea of a latecomer. Brother Meng, your problem is our problem. In this White Sands territory, us brothers still have some face. In truth, she was not willing to offend He Ying. He was the commander of the Second Army, and even if she became the commander of the Fifth Army, her position would still be below He Ying. Despicable. That kick of yours just now, oh my god, it was too fast. My chest is still feeling stuffy. The man behind Tang Tian bellowed. He dispersed the soldiers who were preparing to flank him, and flew towards Tang Tian with all his might. All of the people who were watching the commotion were dumbstruck. No one had expected that the situation would develop to such a stage. They were not Ursa Major constellation. The light wall crumbled and everyone quickly scattered in all directions, opening up a path. Tang Tian looked around curiously. The entire hall of the restaurant was filled. The alluring fragrance made Tang Tian even hungrier. "Why are you chasing me?" Bang. But Tang Tian had already made his move. There was no way out. She clenched her teeth and prepared to take action. A group of people majestically rushed into the white sands. They were all old customers, and the manager of the restaurant immediately came out to welcome them. Xianxia had the possibility of becoming the commander of the White Sands Fifth Army. Such a person had to be fawned over. The White Sands continent pursued the path of elite soldiers, and compared to the 36 armies of the vast star continent, the mere 5 armies looked much weaker. Even Big Sister was subdued. Such a fierce man, he was the first. Xianxia choked. Why did they chase him? After thinking about it, she felt that it was hard to say. Curious? Or angry from being overtaken? It seemed as though any reason would not hold water. They want to surround me. His bodyguard is surnamed Zhou Xian, an expert from the Yonglin continent. Before Xianxia could finish, her eyes blurred. Xianxia finally regained her senses and could not help but shout out. Big Sister, even if this little brother does not have any merits, he has worked hard. Isn't this Miss Ling? I never thought that I would meet Miss Ling here. I am truly lucky. A man laughed. He was about 27 or 28 years old, with a tall stature, handsome looks. His face had a warm smile. He raised his wine cup and greeted Xianxia. But they were stopped. The faces of the people who raised the light wall changed. The man in the lead immediately shouted, "All of you disperse. Godlike young lad is easy to bully?" Without even looking, Tang Tian carried Xianxia and rushed forward. A group of people suddenly rushed out from the group in front of them, prepared to stop Tang Tian. Tang Tian's eyes became cold. For some reason he was being chased, for some reason he was being harassed, and for some reason he was being surrounded. Everyone's expression relaxed. Since Miss Ling said that it was a misunderstanding, then it was fine. The strength that Tang Tian had displayed previously caused everyone to have restraining fear. If they were to truly fight with such an expert, the casualties would be extremely tragic. Suddenly, a roar came out from behind. "Quickly let go of Miss Xianxia." The people who were chasing with all their might rushed to the scene, and upon seeing the scene in front of them, they could not believe their eyes. Just a moment ago, both parties were at each other's throats, their killing intent soaring. How could it suddenly be so peaceful? Tang Tian was like a gust of wind blowing past them. With a few flashes, borrowing the cover of the wooden house, Tang Tian carried Xianxia and disappeared. Hearing that, Master, he laughed. "I am He Ying. You must be the expert that subdued Miss Ling as expected of a young hero. I heard that there was a mysterious expert outside and shocked White Sands City." Everyone quietened down. Since when did Big Sister ever apologize to anyone? No one expected that Tang Tian would not even greet them and immediately make a move. Without the order, the guards by He Ying's side roared and pounced towards Tang Tian. Curious? Tang Tian squinted his eyes. He did not have any intention of dodging and rushed straight towards the group. The other party's weird words made Tang Tian frown and said impolitely, "Hey, I'm hungry, move aside." Xia's face changed. The guards by He Ying's side were all experts and were all extremely strong. Tang Tian's sudden move was out of her expectations, and in the blink of an eye, the situation had become extremely bad. "Brother, want to go drink?" But daring to take responsibility for her actions was Xia's style. She clenched her teeth. "I'm sorry, I was just curious." But the 5 armies were all elites and had gone through thousands of selections to stay. The commanders of the White Sands continent, as compared to the commanders of the vast star continent, had much more authority. With real authority, the commanders of the 5 armies were all marquises. Xia did not expect the other party to let them go so easily, and even more so, did not expect Tang Tian to be so happy. She was stunned. "Don't fight, don't get to know each other." Seeing that the group of people were getting more and more excited, Xia helplessly pushed the crowd aside, and bowed seriously. "Brother Meng, it was this little sister's fault today. This little sister has prepared a banquet to apologize to Brother Meng. I hope that Brother Meng will do me the honor." The stern voice was not loud but was filled with a cold intent. It was White Sands City. The other party's entire body lit up with light auras, converging to form a light wall, blocking in front of Tang Tian. Tang Tian snorted. He raised Xia in his hands and struck the wall of light. Xia was expressionless. I never thought that master he would be eating here. Nice to meet you. Xianxia has matters to attend to and will not accompany master. Master, please help yourself. The silk pants felt that Tang Tian was even more to their liking. He was strong, that was admirable, but he had a good character that was hard to come by. They hated those hypocrites who pretended to be humble the most. Tang Tian's complacency to them was sincere and not pretentious. They surrounded Tang Tian, all of them excited. Tang Tian was clear against an army. The worst thing to do was to be surrounded. Upon being surrounded, losing space was the most dangerous thing. Tang Tian's movements were faster than her. Without turning his head, Tang Tian could sense that there was a group of people behind him. Furthermore, they were spreading out in all directions. Tang Tian, who had trained with them for a long time, immediately judged their intentions. That's right, men have to be so fierce. Tang Tian was startled. After thinking for a long time, he could not think of such a strange reason. He could not help but ask, "What are you curious about?" Xianxia watched in shock as Tang Tian mingled with everyone and called them brothers. Furthermore, to dare block my meal, they must be tired of living. Strike first and gain the upper hand. He extended his hand out and was about to push He Ying to the side. White Inn, White Sands' highest grade restaurant. To be able to see Ganba's power. Hey young lady, your eyes are not bad. Xianxia nodded her head. Let's go together, you guys wait for me. As a silk pants, if they were not proficient in eating, drinking and playing, they would not be able to survive in the circle. They were compatible and worth associating with. Xianxia regained her senses and spoke to everyone. It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. Tang Tian was slightly hungry and nodded his head. All right. Let's go together. Whoosh, a group of people surrounded Tang Tian and rushed towards the restaurant. Heng Shan's eyes were wide open. Following that, he felt a force that could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. His entire being was like a ball that was fiercely whipped and flew out. Compared to them, the silk pants who had suffered under Tang Tian's hands immediately surrounded him. They were playful people, but their personalities were somewhat naive. They did not care about ordinary people, but towards people who were stronger than them, they were filled with respect. Stop him. Although Tang Tian had received a lot of bootlicking, but it was the first time he had received such collective praise, causing him to immediately become excited. If anyone had ill intentions towards Tang Tian would definitely not say a word and kill them. But if the other party expressed goodwill, Tang Tian would be easy to talk to, and if the other party praised Tang Tian would be elated and anything could be said. Everyone had already forgotten about Xia's existence. To be able to befriend such an expert, to be able to share the same rotten tastes, no, to be able to appreciate each other, that was fate. That is a must. Tang Tian put on a senior's words are sincere and earnest expression. Chapter 607. Tang Tian staggered back 3 steps before stabilizing himself. His arms were sore and weak and he could not even lift them up, but his face revealed a look of excitement. Saints of the sacred Saint Galaxy. Although they did not have any intricate spirit techniques, but their usage of energy was more direct and more simple and crude. The two of them clashed with their fists, causing everyone present to be moved. The burly man was extremely tall and sturdy. Although he was shocked, he did not panic. His forward momentum did not change. His arms trembled. Borrowing the momentum, he shouted out, a cannon hammer without any fancy moves. Baijun, why did you attack Qin Yu Ran? Fu Bai asked. Hearing Duke Ming's question of, who is he reacted and was about to reply, but at that moment, Tang Tian had already pounced towards Xiao while shouting. The fist that was covered in null flames clashed with the scarlet-red energy fist aura without any fancy moves. Lian Bo-jun pondered, Senior, are you trying to bribe me? The silver sword aura swallowed and spat out in the air, the dense sword concept enveloping Tang Tian. Lian Bo-jun's Black Mountain was one of them. The White Restaurant was the highest grade restaurant in White Sands City, and its guests were all famous people in the White Sands continent. And because of Qin Yu Ran, all the influential and famous people from the surrounding continents had all rushed to the White Sands continent, which directly caused the White Restaurant to be full every day. White Sands City was an important city with prosperous businesses, and countless of powerful martial artists came here to make a fortune. A familiar yet foreign aura caused all of the hairs on Tang Tian's body to stand. Laws. The people who initially did not think much of it all became serious. Even though Xiao maintained his composure, but anyone with a bit of insight could tell that Xiao was at a disadvantage. Bai Xiao was dumbstruck. Xiao's reputation was not as high as his, but his strength was definitely not weaker than his. Xiao killed his way up from the lowest level, one fist igniting 14 continents. That was the battle that made him famous. After 3 years he had challenged the experts of 14 continents, causing a huge commotion. Even with Tang Tian's tyrannical body he was unable to take it. Duke Ming nodded and praised. Xiao's fist ray cultivation is indeed unique. He first cultivated in the lava of volcanoes, then in molten iron. Finally he achieved great success, which is why he is said to be able to burn 14 continents with one punch. Of all the generals in the vanguard camp he was definitely ranked in the top 5. He did not expect that he would fall into a disadvantageous position. This old man is very curious. Who is this child? Yes, my lord. The subordinate answered. The null flames coiled around his fist and quickly revolved. Zzz, the faster the null flames revolved, transforming into a gray vortex. Tang Tian, who was the first to make a move, took a step and appeared in front of a man who was rushing towards him in a blur. His own energy was actually annihilated. Forcefully annihilated. Of course, the boss of the White Tower would not be without a backer. If it was someone else causing trouble he would have thrown them out long ago. But one side was Ling Xia, the other was He Ying. He did not dare to take the lead. Ling Xia was about to become the commander of the Fifth Army, and the Ling family was deeply rooted in the area. He Ying was also a powerful and narrow-minded person. If he were to bear a grudge, not only would it be difficult for the restaurant to continue operating, he might even face the danger of losing his family. Su Bai was one of the few people who knew of Lian Bojun's background. He was a genius who was once one of the top 3 graduates of the Heaven Forest Academy's military department. Regardless of strategy, courage or decisiveness, Su Bai felt admiration for him. The strange energy was like an awl that drilled into his right arm. It was unstoppable, and wherever it passed all of his energy would be annihilated. What made him even more fearful was that the area of energy annihilation was like a land that had been corroded by poison. His own energy was actually unable to move forward. But there were many experts on the scene, and without any movements, they pressed down with their palms, and the surging airflow immediately disappeared. When his subordinate left, Su Bai became deep in thought. Since it involved Lian Bojun, the matter was definitely not simple. He took out the communication plate and injected energy into it, and after a few seconds a calm voice came out, "Senior Su Bai." As expected of a senior. Lian Bojun praised. "Seems like I guessed correctly." Su Bai's tone was normal, but a cold glint flashed past his eyes. Someone wants to take action against the White Sands continent. But the scene in front of them caused everyone to be shocked. Su Bai nodded his head and then reminded, "Pay attention to the security of the city. There are too many outsiders recently. There are crooks mixed in with the honest folks. Everyone must be vigilant." "Running merchants?" Su Bai smiled and said in a deep voice, "Investigate this group of people." After ending the call, Su Bai became deep in thought. In the darkness, a light aura flickered in his eyes. But Xiao was actually at a disadvantage. "Molten steel fist Xiao," someone exclaimed. Su Bai asked. Under his steel wire-like short hair, his eyebrows were like blades. His square face looked as though it was carved by blades and axes. His lips were wide and thick. His skin was dark. Even though he was just sitting there, he gave off the feeling of being as steady as a mountain. Striding forward, his body was like a bow. His fists were like arrows. Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of fear. Just at that moment, a cold snort came out from behind, seeking death. A scarlet-red light aura suddenly lit up from his body. It congealed into molten steel, covering his entire body and slowly flowing like a molten steel armor. The temperature of the air suddenly rose. The floor beneath his feet turned into ashes, and his aura rose to its peak. "Senior, are you here to denounce me?" Lian Bojun did not seem surprised. His tone was calm. Xiao relaxed. He knew his good friend's strength and immediately dodged to the side. A sword light brushed past his body and flew towards Tang Tian. What joke was that? Even if it was him, it was impossible for him to defeat Lian Bojun with 46 men, such a powerful person running away. "Thank you," Bojun, Su Bai said politely. Compared to him, he was more proficient in using battles to solve problems. Lian Bojun was quiet for a moment, then said, "I'm sorry. What clues do you have?" Lian Bojun became quiet. Both parties had powerful backing and no one dared to step forward. Tang Tian's eyes lit up. It was the first time he had seen someone using fist techniques in the sacred Saint Galaxy. That sword had the flavor of laws. The commander of the White Sands First Army was the most trusted right-hand man of the continent lord, and was one of the most influential people in the White Sands continent. The two fists clashed and the intense airflow swept out like a hurricane. Lian Bojun. Suobai frowned. Pirates were usually a motley crew, they were undisciplined and could not withstand a single blow. But the true elites of the pirates were extremely disciplined, and were not inferior to the official army. Such pirates were not to be trifled with and were the overlords of the pirates. Tang Tian's roar could be heard by everyone. Money, status, authority, not every strong martial artist was above the common people. Relying on the strength of the vanguard battalion, He Ying had run amok for many years. The fist was like a cannonball being fired. It is a small group with a total of 46 men. The leader is called Meng Nan. They boarded a boat halfway and are said to be doing business in White Sands. A subordinate said respectfully. What conditions did they give you? Fubai asked. That's right. Suobai straightforwardly admitted. Why not? I believe that White Sands can give me the conditions. And I believe that I have a better reputation than the rest. Suobai was not angry, he nodded his head. Oh, seems like it is not a problem of money. It is not a problem of money and to be able to move by June interesting. Go. Who is he? He is actually so powerful. Duke Ming's face was filled with shock. He was an elder of White Sands, and the reason why the current continent lord was able to sit in his position was because of his support. He had lived in White Sands for a long time, and was naturally familiar with He Ying's vanguard battalion. Seeing that everyone did not understand, he explained, that fighter is Xiao. What fist energy is that? The brawny man stared at him, his eyes filled with disbelief, vigilance and fear. His entire body was covered in molten iron red light, and a large piece was missing from his right arm all the way to his right chest, which was completely exposed. He also raised his right fist. Tang Tian's pupils constricted. He knew how terrifying it was. It's Lian Bojun, his subordinate reported respectfully. We spent a lot of effort to bribe the pirate spies and found out about it from one of the pirates' ship repair points. A few of their warships were damaged and are being repaired there. Their losses this time are not small. Heaven's Road's fist saint was superior in terms of technique, but the energy contained in his fist far exceeded any fist technique that Tang Tian had seen before. Senior, please be careful. Lian Bojun's calm voice did not have any fluctuations. He could not believe his own eyes. Even if Tang Tian was carelessly swinging his arms and muttering, he did not have the demeanor of an expert. But when he looked at Xiao, the shock in his eyes was completely revealed. The molten iron energy armor on his body had a huge chunk bitten off. Bang! He Ying's bodyguards were all powerful martial artists that were recruited with a huge sum of money. None of them were nobodies. They were not proficient in battle formations, but their individual strengths were strong. And even He Ying, a military leader, was full of praises for them. In the past few years, they had earned a lot of face for He Ying, causing the other commanders to be envious. In times of need they were the vanguards, like heavy axes, unstoppable, and one of the killing techniques of the Second Army. This young man did not waste his time. The Black Mountain Pirates, from nothing to now, from weak to strong, was all created by this junior of his. And although the Black Mountain Pirates plundered, they did not kill the innocent, showing that this junior of his still had a bottom line. No, I just feel that the matter is not that simple. Fuobai said. Bai said, it is rumored that Xiao's fist aura is congealed like molten iron. Seeing it today, it truly lives up to its name. Null flames, spiraling energy. But, to be able to repel his junior and still be able to cause so much damage, his standard is definitely not low. Yes. His subordinate immediately replied. He swung his arms with all his might and took in a breath of cold air. Sigh, it's numb, oh my god, so powerful. Strong enough. Truly strong enough. Survival of the fittest. The bodyguards by He Ying's side changed batch after batch, and their strength continued to increase. In the White Sands continent, the Second Army's Vanguard Battalion was a name that everyone knew. Who was the one who attacked? Fuobai asked. Tang Tian did not think much about it. He Ying was an eyesore and the crazy young man had always beaten him up before saying anything. He had to first consider the consequences, then the conditions, the timing, all of these high-difficulty techniques. To the crazy young man, it was so high level that he had to look up to it. Oh, he might not even be able to look up to it. Chapter 608. I never thought that Duke Ming and General Bai would be here. I have truly disturbed your mood. He Ying hereby apologizes to the two of you. He Ying said apologetically. Ling Xia's face changed. She never thought that He Ying would actually be able to recruit the silver-winged swordsman. The silver-winged swordsman was one of the famous swordsmen in the southern region. He was extremely powerful, stepping into the realm of silver rank at the age of 30, and was currently 35 years old at his peak. Tang Tian looked at the table filled with food. His limbs were already weak from hunger and shouted, "Xiao Bai, I'll eat first, I'm starving." Its struggle attracted even more fireflies, and the fireflies rushed forward. Paw! It exploded into a formless ripple and disappeared. Bai Xiao raised his hand and shouted, "Brother Meng. Young man, you're still growing, eat more." Duke Ming's face was full of smiles. He was extremely amiable. He turned his head. "Waiter, bring more meat." The mark of a silver saint was energy transmutation, but that represented how much energy they could use. And the saint's own domain and attainments were profound, and laws were another mark. Bai Yu laughed. "That's right, just this battle alone made this trip worth it." He Ying brought Xiao Ian back to the table, his face becoming gloomy. Energy transmutation was the mark of a silver saint. Duke Ming, who initially thought that he understood He Ying had a deep understanding of him, was overwhelmed with shock. Gaining enlightenment on laws in any domain meant that he had stepped into the next level. A tall and handsome man walked out from the crowd and asked, "I am Xiao Ian, may I ask for your name?" Everyone laughed and chatted. Only Tang Tian was burying his head in the food. Everyone seemed to have forgotten about his existence and no one said anything about him. The silver sword aura carried a trace of coolness, like the autumn wind blowing past. The hall that was previously heated up by Xiao's molten steel fist became as cool as autumn. He Ying actually had a swordsman who had gained enlightenment on laws. He is not considered strong, but he is extremely strange. He has clearly just touched the doorstep of the silver realm, but his techniques are extremely unique, exquisite and rich in variations. What this subordinate does not understand the most is that when he fights, there are no energy undulations. I've just checked Theo's injuries. That gray flame is extremely poisonous and has an extremely powerful annihilation effect. I don't know if Dr. Su can do anything about it. This unknown gray flame is the most dangerous. Xiao Ian laughed bitterly. Although he did not know who Xiao Ian was, but he could clearly feel that the other party's sword was played down, and did not use his full strength. Tang Tian's fighting spirit was strong and he did not want to give up just like that. The fireflies that filled the sky contained a fatal killing intent under their beauty. Tang Tian still did not raise his head. After experiencing the shock, everyone came to a sudden realization. Previously, everyone was still guessing who the powerful swordsman was, but no one expected it to be Xiao Yi, and Tang Tian's actions once again shocked everyone. The silk pants almost worshipped Tang Tian. "Brother, just how fierce are you? Do you know who the people at this table are?" He now understood that the difficulty of comprehending laws in the Sacred Saint Galaxy was much harder than in Heaven's Road. The energy in the Sacred Saint Galaxy was too abundant. It was like a thick layer of snow, burying laws even deeper. To be able to gain enlightenment on laws in the Sacred Saint Galaxy, they were all powerful people. Tang Tian looked towards the direction of the voice and his eyes lit up. "Ha Xiao Bai." The rain of light entered the sword aura, causing the sword aura to hum lightly, as though it was a wild beast that was angered, releasing an angry roar. The fireflies did not move, they continued to gracefully dance, continuously pouncing towards the sword auras. The hall was in an uproar, everyone's heart trembled. Silver-winged swordsman. His expression was solemn, a cold glint floating in his eyes. It was as beautiful as art. "How hungry are you?" Bai Xiao poured a cup of water for Tang Tian. "We have not seen each other for 2 days, and you are already in such a sorry state. If Yuran sees this, she will scold me again." If we were to say that the laws in the silver sword aura were shocking, then such a unique martial technique caused everyone to be immersed in it. When had they ever seen such an exquisite martial technique before? Suddenly Tang Tian found another advantage in Heaven's Road, and that was the laws. The hall was only left with the slowly floating fireflies. There were no signs of fire or smoke. It was not only Bai Yu whose face changed, even He Ying's eyes flashed with a look of shock. Although He Ying was domineering, but there was no need to doubt his strength. He himself was a silver saint. Although the sword aura was not dazzling, but when the sword was released, everyone's face changed. The saints who were not strong enough did not understand what laws were. They only felt that their minds were completely attracted by the sword. Their bodies froze, their minds went blank, and they could not resist at all. Tang Tian's mouth was stuffed full and he let out muffled sounds. But it was not the time to think about that. Bai Yu stared at the regiment of light floating in front of him. The soybean-sized regiment of light released a gentle light aura, but did not give off any shocking light or heat. Bai Xiao was suddenly filled with regret. Why did he shout out like that? The entire hall's gazes all landed on him. There were already many ladies who covered their mouths and chuckled. Young noble Bai Xiao was a romantic and unrestrained person, but he was actually called Xiao Bai as though he was a pet at home. He suddenly had a premonition that he was a huge problem. Duke Ming's expression changed and said in surprise, "Don't tell me you're on the same boat? Don't tell me the one who repelled the pirates is this little brother Meng?" Tang Tian was shocked. Tang Tian was also shocked. Amidst the heart-trembling buzzing sound, the sword aura started to melt at a speed visible to the naked eye, leaving behind an extremely thin transparent light scar, struggling and trembling in the air. His smiling appearance caused Ling Xia's eyeballs to almost drop to the ground. The silk pants behind her all looked as though they had seen a ghost. His pupils constricted, but Tang Tian immediately calmed down. Dr. Su was the most powerful doctor in the Second Army. His medical skills were extremely high. Tang Tian took a deep breath, facing the incoming silver sword aura. He moved his legs, extending both of his hands. The gray null flames coiled around his arms and fingers. Those who knew their stuff could no longer maintain their composure and stood up. Ling Xia saw Bai Zhao's table and immediately went over and bowed. "Duke Ming, General Bai, young noble Xiao. Silver-winged swordsman Xiao Ian." Shouldn't he have bulged out his muscles like a demon, opened his mouth wide, all the veins on his body popping out, his strength as strong as a bull? Every step he took would cause the earth to shake? And saints in the realm of silver, they were terrifying killing machines. They were filled with danger and were the sharpest blades. Laws. Others would still revere laws, but to Tang Tian, it was something he was extremely familiar with. Jing Hao, Crane, Ling Su, all of them had gained enlightenment on laws, and in Heaven's Road, gaining enlightenment on laws was a prerequisite for being bestowed as a saint. But Bai Yu's face changed. He could smell the scent of energy transformation from the gentle light. With that, he sat down and buried his head in his food. Woo woo woo. Tang Tian did not have any intention of stopping, and continued to bury his head in his food. Duke Ming laughed. "General He, why do you say that? To be able to witness such a spectacular battle, it is truly an honor." Bai Yu was moved. To use 46 men to repel 10 frigates and a warship of pirates, it is truly unfathomable. Even with me personally commanding, I do not dare to say that we can win. He swallowed his saliva with difficulty. "Good. Let's eat first." "How strong is he? Do you have confidence?" He Ying asked softly. Tang Tian, who was in the field, did not have any sinister look, did not roar. His expression was indifferent. Under his meticulous state, he was as calm as water, as though he was a completely different person. Annihilation energy? He Ying was surprised. He was a silver military general, and knew how much damage annihilation energy could bring to saints. Such damage was extremely difficult to recover from, and he had never heard of anyone's martial technique that had the effect of annihilation energy. Military generals of the realm of silver possessed outstanding leadership, and could greatly increase the strength of an army. Woo woo woo. Tang Tian continued to eat. Xiao Ian was startled, then laughed at himself. "No discord, no concord. To be able to meet Brother Meng today, it is my fortune. This is not the place to spar. Why don't we fight another day? I don't want to spoil everyone's mood. A man is made of iron and rice is made of steel. To be able to eat so well, one look and I can tell that you are a good man." Bai Yu praised. After blocking Xiao Ian's sword, everyone's gaze towards Tang Tian changed. It had been 2 days. Bai Zhao's expression was as though he had seen a ghost. If he did not personally witness it, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. Such a beautiful and exquisite martial technique actually came from Meng Nan's hands. What is this? Just at that moment He Ing Xiao Ian and the rest brought their wine cups over. Duke Ming's eyes are like torches. Bai Xiao clapped his hands and praised. Brother Meng's skills are extraordinary. All of his subordinates are heroes that can fight against 100. If not for Brother Meng's help, Yuran and I would have been in danger. His expression was gloomy. The silk pants behind her, all kept quiet out of fear and bowed respectfully. Even if it was here, the might of laws was stronger. Laws were laws. The fireflies that filled the sky flew towards the silver sword aura. The sky suddenly lit up with countless of light scars. The fireflies were like rain or snow. The light scars were like silk weaved together. The light aura was blurred and beautiful. I am Meng Nan. Tang Tian casually said. He was eager to fight. Hey, are we still fighting? Tang Tian thought about it. It was true, fighting here would restrict his hands and feet, and he was worried that he would damage the restaurant. The crucial point was, once his fighting intent retreated, the hunger in his stomach was like thunder, causing his limbs to go soft. Xiao Bai. Bai Xiao was silent. If his cousins heard their father's words, they would definitely vomit blood. His 10 fingers extended out. Sparks blossomed from Tang Tian's fingertips. In the blink of the eye, the air seemed to have been ignited, crackling and popping. Countless of sparks slowly floated and danced in the air, like fireflies in the summer. It was like a dream or fantasy, filling the entire hall. Who knew that this was the first saint that Tang Tian had met in the sacred saint galaxy who had gained enlightenment on laws? Ling Xia's face changed. Duke Ming valued etiquette the most. Even the sons of the continent lord did not dare to be impudent in front of him. And General Bai Yu was a feudal lord, far more so than the armies of White Sands. With the power of the Bai family, no matter where they went, they would be treated as esteemed guests. Chapter 609. Simple. Bai Yu was startled. But don't you feel that their might is too weak? Su Jin wanted to curse in his heart. He did not want to be troubled, but the black gold was too important to the Su Ji worldwide commerce, and he had to obtain it, so he forced himself to say, as long as the Su Ji worldwide commerce can complete it. Ah, is that so? Does everyone know about it? I am truly powerful, right? Tang Tian's spirit was immediately roused. He was extremely pleased, but then he smacked his lips and muttered, what a pity, I only exchanged one move with Xiao Ian. He is stronger than me by a bit, but I have already thought of a way to deal with him. Seeing the two of them glaring at each other with their swords drawn, Tang Tian was at a loss. Qin Yuran was shocked by Tang Tian's generosity, and Bai Yu, who was used to seeing storms, was also surprised. He stared at Tang Tian's face and could not see any pretense or reluctance and could not help but be moved. To casually give out 4 billion, such a heroic spirit was not something that anyone could have. Bai Xiao was dumbstruck, and after a while he laughed bitterly. As expected, only when money is needed will one regret not having enough. Tang Tian threw a piece of black gold to Bai Yu. Tang Tian understood. Then what's the price of this black gold? Bai Yu's tone changed and said leisurely, it is not impossible for me to give up on buying the black gold. My Bai family does not have much interest in building weapons. If Su Ji worldwide commerce can give us the best discount for the black gold worship weapons, I can consider it. What entered his eyes was Tang Tian's face filled with sincerity, a sincerity that was as bright as the sun. He stared at Tang Tian for a few seconds and suddenly laughed. To tycoons I am never courteous. Bai Yu's body trembled, the light aura in his eyes erupted, and without hesitation he said, we will take all the black gold. Bai Zhao's heart was filled with emotions and respect. He was truly extremely hardworking. No matter what time he looked for him, he would always be training as though he did not know fatigue. Bai Yu shook his head. With a 50% discount, every year we will sell them to the Bai family, not less than 100 billion, not more than 500 billion worth of black gold worship weapons. Qin Yuran's eyes were filled with admiration. A focused man would always release an indescribable charm. Tang Tian's robust and strong body was covered in perspiration. With mist rising from it, it was filled with masculine beauty. Bai Yu smiled. That's right. But Xiao Meng and Xiao Bai are good friends, so what does it matter if he doesn't have that much cash? Tang Tian, on the other hand, didn't find anything wrong with it. He replied matter-of-factly, because it's simple. Su Jin's face darkened. Simple might not necessarily be weak. 50%. Su Jin gritted his teeth. Su Jin was just a shopkeeper in the White Sands continent, but Bai Yu was the #1 military general of the Bai family, and he had to obediently bow to Bai Yu. Su Jin didn't back down. "Uncle, are you going to bully me like this?" Snatching food from a junior's bowl. "This is not the conduct of a senior." Su Jin almost scolded out loud, but he held it in. "Then I want the exclusive rights to purchase it." Tang Tian was so happy that Bai Xiao almost could not believe his ears. Bang, a bundle of Empyrean ice tree spears was thrown in front of Bai Xiao, and Tang Tian said tyrannically, "You can count them yourself." "That's right." Tang Tian was not modest at all. He was so pleased that his nostrils almost reached the sky. He turned and asked Bai Xiao, "What's the matter with Xiao Bai?" Bai Xiao raised his head. Qin Yu Ran laughed sweetly. "Big brother Meng's glorious deeds last night. Yu Ran's ears have almost grown calluses from hearing about it. But it's a pity that I was not able to witness it personally, so I came to congratulate Big Brother Meng this morning." Su Jin sighed in his heart again. He was sure that his plan had failed, and in his heart he was filled with respect for Bai Yu's shrewdness and ruthlessness. He only knew about it after testing it in the laboratory, but Bai Yu had only touched it once and was able to discover the advantages of the black gold. Such foresight and experience, how could he not be impressed? Bai Yu picked up the black gold and looked at it carefully. His expression did not fluctuate, but when he injected energy into it, his face gradually became serious, and after half a minute he then said slowly, "Good stuff. If I am not wrong, it can withstand a very strong energy load." In the training grounds, Tang Tian's entire body was perspiring profusely. He looked straight ahead and slowly retracted his fist. Bai Xiao, Bai Yu and Qin Yu Ran did not say anything to disturb Tang Tian, who was training. "I don't need too much, just 4 billion cloud coins will do," Bai Xiao said. Bai Yu curiously observed Tang Tian's training, his heart filled with suspicions. To him, all of Tang Tian's techniques were extremely basic and could not be any more basic, and he could not see anything special about it. Everyone was shocked by Tang Tian's words. The remaining half bundle was about 400 to 500 spears. After Bai Xiao finished picking, he looked at the remaining Empyrean ice tree spears reluctantly. If it was someone else who cultivated like this, he would probably scoff at it. But for a martial artist to be able to heavily injure Xiao and fight against Xiao Ian, to still do such training, there must be something that I do not understand. At that moment, Hansen came in to report, "Sir, Boss Su is here." Tang Tian noticed the reluctance in Bai Xiao's eyes, laughed, and pushed the remaining half of the Empyrean ice tree spears towards Bai Xiao. "These are all for you." The battle that happened in the White Tower spread throughout the entire White Sands city in one night. Seeing that, Bai Xiao explained in a low voice, "The more energy it can endure, the more suitable it is to be a warship weapon. The most expensive part of a warship was its weapons. Energy jade was the best material for silver-grade warship weapons on the market. However, it was very expensive. 1 cubic meter would cost more than 500 million. Most importantly, the production was very limited. How many weapons does a warship have? You've earned big this time." Bai Xiao rubbed his nose. "I am here for the Empyrean ice tree spears. I heard that you sold a large batch to the Suji Worldwide Commerce, so I rushed over anxiously. Suji Worldwide Commerce is too strong, I can't compare. I don't ask for much. I'll just drink the soup while others eat the meat. Can you sell some to me?" General's eyes are like torches. Su Jin could only bite the bullet. "We have tested it before. Its ability to endure energy is stronger than corundum, and slightly weaker than energy jade." "In your bowl? Since when did it belong to you?" Bai Yu shook his head. Su Jin wanted to punch the old man's face. He had been cheated to death by him. "Oh, to actually be able to enter Suji Worldwide Commerce's eyes. I wonder if I can take a look?" Bai Yu asked curiously. 500 of them? Good." Bai Xiao and Bai Yu looked at each other, their hearts trembling. Su Jin quickly said, "Suji Worldwide Commerce is willing to buy them for 300 million per cubic meter, however much you have." "General Bai, from what this nephew knows, you don't have that much cash, right?" Suji Worldwide Commerce was one of the top weapons merchants in the world and had a huge influence. Ordinary people might not know about it, but how could Bai Yu and the rest not? Su Jin originally had some guesses about Tang Tian's background, and seeing Qin Yu Ran, Bai Yu and the rest, his heart became even darker. Young Miss Yu Ran's personality was extremely prideful, and rarely did she treat anyone differently. And the Bai family's power was not inferior to the Su family. 20% discount. Su Jin's face was filled with pain. "Can I buy anything?" Tang Tian asked curiously. Tang Tian laughed. His expression did not change. Xiao Bai was a good person. As for the Empyrean ice tree spears, he did not place much importance on them. There were too many of them. He actually asked Big Brother Meng about training. Qin Yuran was surprised. Who was Bai Yu? He was a true famed general. Su Jin walked in, and upon seeing Qin Yuran and the rest, he was surprised. I never thought that I would be able to meet young Miss Yuran, General Bai and young Master Bai here. I am Su Ji Worldwide Commerce's Su Jin. Greetings everyone. 15% discount. Su Jin said without hesitation. The crucial point was that he had given a favor to Tang Tian. He had just taken 4 billion worth of Empyrean ice tree spears from Tang Tian, and it was not a small favor, but in the blink of an eye he had helped Tang Tian earn a huge sum. He wanted to help Tang Tian get even more benefits, so he specially reminded Tang Tian. Hearing that, Tang Tian's eyes lit up. Then I want to buy an army. A complete army. I have no objections. Bai Yu laughed sinisterly. He turned and looked at Tang Tian. Selling it to the Su Ji Worldwide Commerce is good. It saves us trouble. The price is not bad. You can let them deliver it themselves. Oh, if you have any special requests, feel free to ask. There is nothing that the Su Ji Worldwide Commerce cannot buy. More or less. Bai Yu laughed. Hoo. Tang Tian completed the last movement, his entire body exhausted. Fundamental martial techniques did not consume much physical strength, but the control of the null flames consumed a lot of physical strength and mental state. After the greetings, Su Jin spoke to Tang Tian. Mr. Meng, I am here for the black gold. My shop hopes to purchase black gold, and hopes that Mr. Meng can provide us with a stable supply of black gold, regardless of how much we are willing to buy. Bai Yu sneered. Xiao Su is not sincere. The profits from weapons are extremely shady. Bai Yu was extremely happy. He did not spend a single cloud coin, and obtained so many benefits without risking anything. He was extremely clear of the weight of the agreement. The silver-winged swordsman Qiao Yi had been recruited by He Ying, causing He Ying's reputation to soar. At the same time, Meng Nan, who had heavily injured Molten Steel Fist Shi Ao and blocked Qiao Yi's sword, gave Ling Xia, who was about to become the commander of the Fifth Army, some power. Qin Yuran's beautiful eyes lit up. I knew that Big Brother Meng would definitely think of a way. In time, the undercurrents in White Sand City surged. Bai Yu was startled by those words. He subconsciously wanted to retort, but faintly felt that there was a deeper meaning behind those words. In that moment he was in a daze and deep in thought. Bai Yu glanced at the Empyrean ice tree spears before retracting his gaze. He was more interested in another question and spoke in an amiable tone. Xiao Meng, I saw you training just now and they were all very fundamental techniques. Uncle is stupid, can you talk about the Tao behind them? Bai Yu laughed. The Bai family can guarantee that the black gold warship weapons that we purchase from the Su Ji Worldwide Commerce will only be used by us and will not be sold. Tang Tian looked at Bai Yu and shook his head. Being simple does not mean that it is weak. No problem. Tang Tian said straightforwardly, how much do you want? It's so early in the morning, why are all of you here together? Tang Tian asked weakly. Su Jin had an unkind look. Uncle, what do you mean? Everyone was startled. In truth, when he saw Bai Yu and his group, Su Jin knew that he had miscalculated. Although black gold was good, but Su Jin's merchant nature was to buy low and sell high, and naturally hoped to buy at a lower price. From Tang Tian's reaction that day, Su Jin felt that the other party did not understand the true value of black gold. He kept the Empyrean ice tree spears. Chapter 610. Xiao Meng can see it very clearly. Bai Yu praised. The quality of these small armies are definitely not as good as the big armies, so it depends on the strength of the commander. If the commander is strong and has a high standard, then the strength of the army will not be too bad, at least the standard of training will not be low, and the synchronization rate will be about the same. Even if they cannot operate warships, operating a warship is not a problem. Su Jin did not dare imagine such a scene. No one would have thought that Tang Tian would actually want to buy an army. They had never heard of anyone buying an army before. Su Jin felt as though all the energy in his body had been sucked out. What material was better than black gold? Alright, can I say that building a stronghold does not require such good materials? He gave up struggling. Warship weapon specialists, the best ones are hard to find, but those with deep foundations and strength are still easy to recruit. How much do you want? An army commander must have strength. Tang Tian added. Tang Tian suddenly thought about Xiao by saying that black gold was suitable to be used as worship weapons. He thought about the Sword Forest stronghold, which was completely made out of black gold. Could it be changed into worship weapons? Then wouldn't the Sword Forest stronghold have offensive capabilities? All of the elites were raised by cloud coins. For example, the daily training, every training required a huge expenditure. Just the daily training expenses of elite armies was already an astonishing amount of expenditure. Bai Yu knew that such conditions to those who were unwilling were extremely tempting. There were countless bronze armies in the Sacred Saint Galaxy, and there was no lack of targets to choose from. But they could only poach bronze armies now. To poach silver armies, it was not just a problem of money. Tang Tian was happy. Bai Yu scratched his chin and muttered, Xiaomeng, although your idea is not easy to handle, but it is rather creative. You are guarding such a treasure bowl. Without an army it will be impossible. So it's like that, Tang Tian thought for a moment. Then let's make it 10, the rest will be experts in other fields. What warships, materials, weapons, armors, I will build a laboratory for them. Hearing Tang Tian's words, Bai Yu laughed out loud. That's not how you calculate it. What you are providing now is the treatment of an elementary silver army, but it is not a true silver army. They were still a bronze-grade army, and it would not be easy for them to become a silver-grade army. Not all bronze armies could become silver armies. Moreover, no one knew how much this process would cost. 5 years. 6 years. A true silver-grade army was worth more than 60 billion, and a silver-grade army was much more expensive than a warship. In the past, there was a fellow who found the Bai family and requested for a silver-grade army to help them. Do you know how much it cost? For some reason, Su Jin heaved a sigh of relief. You finally know how expensive it is. Qin Yu ran and Bai Xiao were completely numb from the shock. How much are the commanders of those small continents worth? Bai Yu sneered, 20 million cloud coins is enough. As for the sergeants, each of them was worth 5 million. There were even fewer soldiers. It would be best if all their family members could be moved. As long as the entire family migrated, they would receive 1 million yuan as a settlement fee. An army of 1,000 men could definitely be taken down by 1.2 billion. You have money now, and having money is a form of entertainment. Su Jin snapped out of his daze and shock and started to speak incoherently. Hey Jin. It was black gold. Use it to build a castle. You're crazy. Do you have too much money and nowhere to burn it? Dismantle it. Everything was demolished. Don't waste it, sell it to me. Sell it to me. If you want to build a stronghold, I will transport the materials for you and operate it for free? 2 billion a year. Those small continents could not afford to support such an army. 50 billion. Bai Yu was extremely pleased. Upon seeing me, his opponents would be so scared that they peed in their pants. Your father did not even need to spend any effort to take down 2 continents as though it was a game. This 50 billion, I feel so good taking it. But a pity, such a good business is not something that can be encountered often. Anyway, you will know in the future any army is all about profits. If you have money, you can just spend it. But this is only useful for small powerhouses. If the other party is a big powerhouse, then the problems involved will be very complicated. For example, the White Sands continent, no matter how much money you give, no one will dare to accept it. Although he had Sai Lei, but Sai Lei also needed assistance, and all of them were the assistants that Tang Tian had prepared for Sai Lei. Tang Tian was enlightened. Tang Tian was curious. How much did you spend? Not cheap, about 10 million as a settlement fee. Su Jin was confused. What do you need so many warship weapon specialists for? 100 warship weapon specialists, is it fun to keep them there? 10 of them. 10 of them is enough for you to create a warship weapon stronghold. A cubic of 300 million cloud coins worth of black gold, to use to create a castle. 2 billion it is. If their standards are high enough, I am willing to fork out 3 billion. Tang Tian's words were extremely tyrannical, immediately shocking everyone. No problem. I have been in an army for so many years, I can tell with one look who is at the standard. Among my old friends and classmates, there are a few powerful characters. Bai Yu patted his chest and said. Bai Yu and Su Jin felt that it was expensive, but to Tang Tian it was too cheap. A single warship was worth more than 60 billion. How many armies was that? As expected, it was not cheap. The entire place was dead silent. Everyone had their mouths wide open as they looked at Tang Tian. Su Jin immediately became anxious. Uncle, this is my Su Ji Worldwide Commerce's business. Suji Worldwide Commerce still has this bit of ability. The army that Bai Yu commanded had better treatment than this, and the Bai family's wealth was robust enough to support them. As for the military generals without any background, no matter how talented they were, they could only stay in the bronze rank armies, and were unable to display their strengths. Seeing that the two of them were about to quarrel again, Tang Tian said, "Each of you will get an army quota. I only want the highest standard." Bai Yu did not know what to say. He calmed himself down. "I will handle this matter. With these conditions, do we still need to poach people? This is the treatment of a true silver rank army. All those people who are not successful will break their heads to come over. But Xiaomeng, you must guarantee an annual military expenditure of 2 billion. That's right, but the castle is slightly small. We will expand it now." Tang Tian scratched his head. "Since the black gold can be used to create worship weapons, then can we change the castle into worship weapons? That must be very powerful." Tang Tian was shocked by Su Jin's spasms. "Are these materials better than the black gold?" Su Jin completely gave up and reminded weakly, "The laboratory is a bottomless pit. If it is an ordinary standard, 500,000 star coins per person is enough. If it is better, 3 million star coins per person, there is no need to go any higher. The quality of the soldiers are not high enough. That would be 3 billion for an army." Su Jin's face changed. "Mr. Meng also wants to do the weapon business." Su Jin immediately realized the benefits. All the poached armies would require equipment, and that would be another business. "No problem, it won't cost much anyway." Tang Tian waved his hand. He had his own plans. He did not hope for these people to create any unique weapons, but the fusion of Heaven's Road and Sacred Saint Galaxy, the two systems, required these professionals. Su Jin's smile became even more bitter. "Mr. Meng, if you want any weapons or the like, even if it is a gold rank, I can think of a way. You want an army." This was not just business. Bai Yu was right. With such good conditions, all the ambitious military generals would definitely fight to the death. "I also want a worship weapons specialist." Tang Tian raised his hand. "Is it very expensive?" Tang Tian asked uncertainly. "You can't buy it?" Tang Tian was slightly disappointed. The idea was just a flash of inspiration. What he lacked the most was not weapons nor cloud coins but men. The precious Bright Village Regiment's foundation was too weak. Zhou Xian had only recruited 500 underworld continents demonic mounts. Seeing that Tang Tian did not have any reaction, Bai Yu secretly scolded him for being a tyrant, but he patiently explained, "Xiaomeng, don't think that you can get an army with just 4 billion, that is just the first fee. The majority of the money is still needed to maintain the army. The salary needs money, the compensation needs money, the daily training needs money, the maintenance of the equipment also needs money. According to your arrangement, an army will need at least 2 billion a year. Do you know what standard that is? This is definitely the treatment of a silver-grade army." Bai Yu jumped up. "Isn't that the arrangement of a silver-grade army? Do they need such good equipment? Is the Suji Worldwide Commerce a black shop? Then how much money do they need?" Tang Tian asked. "What is the world in the eyes of a tyrant? If I can directly buy an army, even if it is slightly weaker, I can throw it to Bing and it will still be useful. It's not that we can't buy it, but we have to think of a way." Bai Yu muttered. "Armies, only the continent lords have them as long as we ask around. Which continent's finances are not good recently? Maintaining an army costs a lot of money, and if the finances are not good, we cannot afford it. But it is definitely not possible for the big continents. We have to ask around in this direction. So we can still poach people. We can start poaching from the commanders since you have money. Especially those commanders that are not important, we can poach them one by one. If that's the case, it will be easy." Su Jin had never done such business before, but with Bai Yu's reminder he quickly regained his senses. With the Suji Worldwide Commerce's guarantee, poaching the armies of the small continents was extremely easy. As for the continent lords of the small continents, who would dare to find trouble with the Suji Worldwide Commerce? Spending a bit of money, they would definitely close one eye. Su Jin's eyes lit up. Bai Zhao's forehead was filled with cold sweat. So second uncle is actually so crafty. Su Jin, who had always maintained his composure, finally revealed a bitter smile. "Mr. Meng, you are making things difficult for me. I have never heard of an army being able to be bought." Bai Yu also advised. "That's right, Xiaomeng, laboratories and such are completely burning money. Right now, all of the old and famous companies have deep accumulations. No, I want to modify my stronghold. Tang Tian gestured with his hands. I have a castle made of black gold. As long as you are willing. Su Jin did not plan to persuade him anymore. The other party did not treat money as money. What else could he do? What about the army? How much do you need? Also, when you recruit an army, you need to equip them. Poaching is fine, but the equipment cannot be taken away. If not, others will fight with us. In any place, resources were limited. The Suji worldwide commerce's connections and strength in the military world have accumulated over thousands of words. We will definitely help Mr. Meng select the most outstanding army. Su Jin said solemnly. He secretly decided that he would definitely select the best army to surpass Bai Yu's. Black. A castle made of black gold? Su Jin stuttered. His expression was as though he had seen a ghost. Bai Yu was also stunned and looked at Tang Tian in a daze. Bai Yu could not help but scold. I can't take it anymore. Tang Tian thought seriously for a moment. Then let's recruit 100. Chapter 6:11. Needless to say, Qin Yuran was the continent lord's guest. As long as he dared to make a move before the next day, his security bureau would be flattened. Xia nodded her head. The three words Golden Rose seemed to have a strange power. The hotel guards who had already rushed out immediately shrank back. Someone is watching this? Tang Tian's eyes flashed with a cold glint. Who is it? Commander Tian remained expressionless. This is official business. This is an important matter. Please help me pass a message to Boss Su. This little brother has no choice. Tang Tian did not act pretentiously. Thank you, Uncle Ling. A misunderstanding. Commander Tian's face changed quickly. His face was immediately filled with smiles. Such a small matter to actually disturb all of you masters. I am sorry. I had long felt that there was a problem. I will immediately go investigate again. Richard, who was already an arrow at the end of its flight, upon seeing Tang Tian, his tensed-up state of mind relaxed, and his head fell to the ground. Commander Tian's heart sank, but his expression did not change. How would I dare to trouble Duke Ming? Master Ling, please do not make things difficult for my security bureau. There must be some misunderstanding. I just wanted to invite them to the security bureau to go through the procedures. If there is any misunderstanding, I can explain it to them. I don't know. Richard shook his head. Commander Tian looked at the person and his face changed. Xia. Ling Yuanhong's heart was filled with joy. He had made the right decision to come. Seeing the attitude of everyone present towards Tang Tian, he knew that he was definitely not someone without a background. The atmosphere was extremely tense. All of the warships lit up with faint light auras. A hand grabbed onto Richard. To her, it was because of her that Tang Tian was accidentally dragged into the whirlpool of power struggles. This mysterious expert had already been branded as a member of the Ling family. To the Ling family it was definitely a good thing, but if they offended Tang Tian it would not be worth it. Help me find out who the surname Tian is. Tang Tian said. He dared to be rough with Xia but definitely did not dare to touch Ling Yuanhong. Commander Tian said that he is a criminal? Xia suddenly asked. Someone exclaimed. The black-robed men all stopped and faced Tang Tian from afar. Their bodies froze for a moment and then they fell from the sky like dumplings. The faces of those who were hit by the blue light turned a beautiful and demonic blue color. Mr. Meng, if there's anything you need us to do, please let us know. The Ling family will definitely not refuse. That's right. Commander Tian said in a deep voice. This person is suspected of a major case and fled to avoid punishment. We've been pursuing him all the way. I didn't expect his accomplice to be here, and he even dared to kill someone on the streets. It's great that Sir Ling is here. I hope that Sir Ling can assist us in apprehending this thief. Qin Yuran had always been paying attention to Tang Tian. She saw that Tang Tian's expression was calm, but deep in his eyes, a cold glint flashed past, and knew that Big Brother Meng was truly angry this time. Ling Yuanhong heaved a sigh of relief. What about the people chasing you? Tang Tian asked. The White Sands Security Bureau is really impressive. I've really broadened my horizons today. Kill them on the spot? Commander Tian has such a big tone. Xia flew out from the window, her face cold. Who does Commander Tian want to kill? As the patriarch of the Ling family, although Ling Yuanhong did not hold any official position, but the Ling family was extremely noble and had always been a kind family. For the past 10 years Ling Yuanhong had spent all of his energy on helping the poor and the handicapped, and was deeply respected by the citizens. A few people flew out from the broken window. Bai Yu had a smile that was not a smile. By his side was young noble Bai Shao, and by his side were Su Jin, Ling Yuanhong and Qin Yu Ran. A manager of the White Sands Hotel rushed out with an ashen face and asked, "Master Tian, what's the meaning of this?" Under the light, Tang Tian had a sinister smile on his face, his killing intent soaring. The others all greeted him. Ling Yuanhong was not only Ling Xia's father, he was also the current patriarch of the Ling family, and had a huge influence in the White Sands continent. Twisting his waist and swinging his arm, the Empyrean ice tree spear in his hand transformed into a blue light. Whoosh, it shot towards the black figure chasing after Richard. The man covered in blood was Richard. Ling Xia introduced him simply, "This is my father Ling Yuanhong." Her expression did not change. Mr. Meng is an honored guest of the Continent Lord, and is not under the jurisdiction of the Public Security Bureau. I will ask Duke Ming to form a special investigation team to investigate this matter. If Commander Tian has evidence, the investigation team will go to the police station to collect evidence. Qin Yu Ran did not say anything and only stared coldly at Commander Tian. The underworld continent's demonic mounts quickly arranged their defenses. A few warships had also arrived. The weapons on the ships pointed straight at Tang Tian and the White Sands Hotel. Ling Xia finally heaved a sigh of relief. She was not worried that Commander Tian would be rough. She was worried that Big Brother Meng would take action. Under the watchful eyes of the public, attacking the Security Bureau would put them in a passive position. Ling Xia stared at Commander Tian. His words seemed polite, but in truth he was reminding her not to be a busybody. She smelled something unusual. When did the Mines Safety Bureau become so domineering? What she did not expect was that Big Brother Meng, who had always been reckless, was actually so calm. The sudden burst of killing intent caused everyone to be stunned. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Tang Tian was like an agile cheetah, leaping out in a flash. Bang! The glass window shattered, and Tang Tian, who was in mid-air, had an Empyrean ice tree spear in his hands. With that he brought everyone and left dejectedly. After handing over the matters of the army to the two of them, Tang Tian calculated he had 10.3 billion cloud coins left, which was enough to buy 2 armies. He was extremely pleased with his sudden inspiration. What kind of genius young man would be able to think of such a genius idea? I also did not think that it would be like this. Ling Xia's face was filled with apology. Upon hearing the rumors, she immediately rushed to the White Sands Hotel to apologize to Tang Tian. When the few of them appeared, the surrounding spectators immediately went into an uproar. Especially with Qin Yu Ran's appearance, the surrounding spectators all went into an uproar. How could Ling Xia not know what Commander Tian was planning? Mr. Meng's identity is noble. I will personally take care of this matter. Commander Tian, please return. Ling Xia never thought that Commander Tian would actually take advantage of the situation and counterattack her. Thank you everyone for your help. Tang Tian thanked them sincerely. Tang Tian's eyes peeked through the glass window, and suddenly saw a figure, causing his pupils to constrict. Leave it at that. You have to ask me first. Uncle Ling is too polite. I am friends with Ling Xia and the rest. This is just a small matter. Tang Tian did not care. He had mingled with the other silk pants yesterday. As for the conspiracy, what was that? Ling Yuanhong said, "The hotel is still inconvenient. The Han family has a manor in the west of the city. It is rather quiet, and has been empty for a long time. If Mr. Meng does not mind, why not move there?" Tang Tian was concerned about Richard's injuries and went to check on him and found out that although Richard was covered in blood, it was only a flesh wound and nothing serious. Master Ling. Commander Tian immediately bowed. This criminal has committed a heinous crime. This Tian has a duty. If my words offend you, I hope that Master Ling will forgive me. Su Jin was expressionless. I wonder if Commander Tian needs to go to the Suji Worldwide Commerce to investigate? They are from the Golden Rose. The Golden Rose is the most famous assassin organization in White Sands. We have to be careful. They will definitely not let this matter rest. Richard warned. The leader of the black-robed men said coldly, "This man stole my Golden Rose's secret. Could it be that you are the mastermind?" Tang Tian suddenly appeared beside Richard like a ghost. He threw Richard behind him to the underworld continent's demonic mounts who had rushed over. Bring him to the doctor. The manager's face changed. He finally understood that the situation was not normal. She was able to take over the Fifth Army. Other than her family background, her individual strength and intellect were all outstanding. He Ying's display of enmity that day made her extremely cautious. Richard slowly woke up, seeing that it was Tang Tian in front of him. He heaved a sigh of relief. The black-robed man opposite him was obviously not a good person. His eyes revealed a fierce look. Dressed in tight black robes, there was a golden rose emblem on his chest. The black-robed man had long disappeared. Although he said that he was helpless, his face did not have any expression. "What's going on?" Tang Tian asked. Ling Yuanhong was worried that something would happen on the road, and personally sent Tang Tian to the Ling family's courtyard. The place had been empty for a long time, and usually there were a few servants to clean and take care of it so they could directly move in. After settling everything, Ling Yuanhong and Ling Xia left. Just at that moment, a group of public security officers dressed in uniforms suddenly rushed out from behind the tall building and surrounded the White Sands Hotel. The leader of the public security officers bellowed, "Do not let the fugitive go." Commander Tian's face changed. The situation had gone out of control, causing his scalp to go numb. The Bai family uncle and nephew represented the Bai family. Even if he was given 10 guts, he would not dare to make a move. Suji worldwide commerce was not to be trifled with. Even the continent lord was extremely courteous to Su Jin. The few black-robed men at the front all used their weapons to block. She started to think, how could she help Big Brother Meng obtain useful information? At this time, Ling Yuanhong had personally come to apologize and expressed the Ling family's attitude. Ling Yuanhong was not only Ling Xia's father, he was also the patriarch of the Ling family. Such an attitude was giving Tang Tian face. Empyrean ice tree spears. The blue light was as weak as ice and instantly shattered, but an undetectable blue aura took the chance to enter their bodies. Hearing Ling Xia's words, Tang Tian then knew that the news of the Ling family obtaining strong reinforcements had already spread far and wide. Outside the hotel, a man covered in blood stumbled, flying towards the hotel in a panic, and behind him a group of black dots were chasing closely. "Richard," Ling Yuanhong sneered, "seems like we are also thieves. Commander Tian wants to take us down as well. What's the matter with the 13 families? There are people watching over it. I went to inquire about it and alarmed them." Richard laughed bitterly. "Luckily I found someone familiar, and that familiar person sensed that something was amiss and alerted me. If not, I would not have been able to return today." Commander Tian did not care about the manager of the White Sands Hotel, and squinted his eyes and spoke to Tang Tian coldly. "Not only are you harboring a fugitive, you actually killed someone on the streets. I advise you to surrender. If you dare resist, you will be killed on the spot." Just at that moment, Ling Xia brought a middle-aged man to visit. Commander Tian knew that there was no turning back, and his expression turned cold. "Master Ling is stubborn. You cannot blame me for that. Take them all down." The security bureau was only in charge of White Sands City's security, and to the commanders, it was not even worth mentioning. Usually when the man surnamed Tian saw her, he would be like a mouse seeing a cat, but today he was different and definitely had something to rely on. Chapter 6:12. Tian Qiguang's sense of smell was extremely sensitive, and he could feel that the master was extremely concerned about Meng Nan. As though they had been pardoned, they immediately ran out of the door. The Golden Rose's boss, Lei Er Fu, who was known as the Single-Eyed Dark Snake, was currently sprawled on the ground, not daring to raise his head, and reported with a trembling voice. "This person is a group of 47 people. They are extremely elite and boarded Qin Yu Rant's ship halfway. They were the ones who defeated the pirate fleet." 35 underworld continents' demonic mounts firmly guarded the empty space, maintaining a high level of vigilance. Shursen brought 10 underworld continents' demonic mounts with him, and the remaining 35 underworld continents' demonic mounts acted as though they were facing a great enemy. In White Sands City, there are roughly 100 of them. In the entire White Sands continent, there should be around 1,000 of them. Richard said. But he had brought them to Suji Worldwide Commerce early in the morning, causing Richard to be confused. "Thank you, old Su." Tang Tian did not reject him. "Then give them all to me." "No problem." He did not understand Tang Tian's meaning. The word business seemed to have injected endless motivation into everyone. The team members who had been dispirited just a moment ago immediately surrounded him. The pitiful Richard was completely frightened to the point that he could not speak. He had to plan carefully. Tian Qiguang knew that he was just a hunting dog, and patience was more important than teeth. Su Jin looked at Tang Tian's calm face and felt a chill in his heart. He was a reckless and impulsive fellow. When his face was calm, without anger, without a roar, without even the slightest fluctuation, as if nothing had happened and he stood in front of you, that bone-chilling coldness would cause the surrounding air to become so cold that it was about to freeze. Guluan operated a small mercenary group, called the White Oak Mercenary Group, with a total of 300 men. In such a flourishing place like the White Sands continent, the White Oak Mercenary Group did not have any advantage, and could only accept short-distance bodyguard business. Guluan was startled and blurted out, "The Golden Rose is finished." "Captain. Business. It's business." The member's tone was filled with excitement. Guluan frowned and scolded, "Did your butt get burned? Or did you owe a gambling debt again? Didn't I tell you to go to the guild to get business? Why did you run back?" Su Jin did not speak any nonsense, and immediately handed the money card over to Tang Tian. "Yes." Lei Er Fu immediately complied. He hesitated for a moment, then gathered his courage and asked, "Then Meng Nan, this person?" After exiting the Su Ji Worldwide Commerce, Tang Tian boarded the ship that the Ling family had specially prepared for him. The boat was less than 16 meters long and could accommodate no more than 50 people. Its defensive capabilities were outstanding and it was also quite agile. Its shape was also very special. The outside of the boat was hollowed out, looking like a circle of bamboo baskets. The empty spaces were all prepared for the guards. Ralph's body trembled and he lowered his head even more. "Yes." Little Nine looked at Glenn. "Captain, should we do it?" "Little Jiu, you finally got some business." Very quickly a few more people resigned. Tian Qiguang didn't mind. The opponents of yesterday's fight were those big shots. A few of them were timid and afraid of getting into trouble. It was very normal for them to resign. Without saying a word, the subordinate stuffed a bounty warrant into Tian Qiguang's hand and fled. "Idiot, what are you going to do with your ass?" Hansen was completely numb. Richard's mouth was also wide open and he was speechless for a long time. Ralph immediately said, "This subordinate has been secretly investigating this matter for the past few years and there are some clues. Out of the 13 families, 6 of them have already escaped to the Gold Continent, as though there are people there to receive them. As for the other 7 families, 1 of them has left for the western region, and the remaining 6 are all in the southern region." When he finished reading the bounty warrant, the blood in his face had completely disappeared. An intense fear enveloped his entire body, causing him to feel as though he could not breathe, like a fish that was about to suffocate. But in the entire security bureau more than half of the people had resigned. Tian Qiguang finally sensed that something was wrong. He pulled on to one of the more loyal subordinates. "What exactly is going on with all of you?" With the black gold in his hands and the Bai family as his ally, Tang Tian would definitely become extremely rich. Upon hearing that it was at least a few $100 million, everyone's eyes immediately turned red. One of the subordinates shrunk his head and walked in, and handed over a letter of resignation. "Master, this subordinate's mother is sick. This subordinate has to take care of the old lady, and is unable to continue doing this job. This is this subordinate's letter of resignation." Everyone was extremely excited. Business meant income, and when everyone was so poor that they could not even leave their nest, even the smallest business could save their lives. "All the guilds?" Guluan quivered. The entire White Sand City was in an uproar. Guluan received it in surprise, but when he saw the contents on the paper, his face immediately changed. The price on it caused him to tremble in fear. The red words were dripping with blood. Tian Qiguang opened the bounty warrant with a face of suspicion. The rows of blood-red numbers caused his eyes to widen, blood rushing to his head. The man in the shadows had no emotions in his voice. "That's right, I will even give an Empyrean ice tree spear." Tang Tian said happily, "Elite assassins for 100 million give 10 Empyrean ice tree spears, small leader for 1 billion, give 100 Empyrean ice tree spears. Big leader for 10 billion, give 1,000 Empyrean ice tree spears." "Have you found out the locations of the 6 families? Could it be that the price is too low? Then double it, 20 million, 2 Empyrean ice tree spears." Tang Tian said arrogantly. "Find out everything. Do you want to take action?" Lei Er was excited. "First find out, do not arouse his vigilance." The voice in the shadows had a trace of complacency. "When the nest is overturned, how can there be unharmed eggs?" Suddenly, a member rushed in like a madman. Commander! Commander! Tian Qiguang snorted. Go! There's business. That's great. My butt is going to rust. Tian Qiguang entered the security bureau as per usual. Thinking about the night before, the master's promise and consolation, his heart calmed down. The master did not blame him for what happened the night before. Is it enough? My authority can go up to 100 billion. Su Jin added in with concern. After interacting with him for the past few days, Meng Nan was a person who valued comradeship. To help him at such a time, it would be good karma. Commander, look. Xiao Jiu handed over a piece of paper. Bounty Golden Roses people, 10 million for one life. Tang Tian's eyes flashed with a cold glint and said, coming to White Sands this time, I finally know how to spend money. Gu Luan looked at the broken-down camp, the listless members, his heart filled with worry. If there were no more business at the end of the year, they might not even be able to afford to rent a camp next year, and could only leave White Sands City. A guy called Meng Nan. Xiao Jiu had obviously investigated everything and spoke quickly. Yesterday Golden Rose was chasing after Meng Nan's subordinates, and at that time the security bureau was involved. But who knew that Meng Nan's backing was so deep? A large group of important people came out to support him and the security bureau retreated. This morning he sent out a bounty to all the guilds. 10 million for one life. Richard was scared silly. His body trembled uncontrollably. He finally understood why his subordinates would resign. The dazzling figure of 100 billion had sucked away all the energy in his body. Richard's mind went blank. A 100 billion counterattack had already exceeded the limits of his imagination. Richard was also curious how the master would counterattack. Although he had only interacted with Tang Tian for a short period of time, but he was clear, the master was definitely not a good-tempered person. He initially thought that the master would bring his men and directly kill their way in, but who knew the master did not do so. That's not a lot. Tang Tian sneered. How about 10 million for one person? He did not dare to imagine what would happen if he threw this bomb. Tang Tian had thought of ideas the entire night. Warships could be bought, armies could be bought, but what about the Golden Rose? They could also be bought with money. No problem, even the gatekeepers are counted. If we don't have as many people as them, then we will fight with money. Tang Tian sneered, revealing his dense white teeth. He clenched his teeth. I don't care about spending money, it doesn't matter if I spend more, but this time I want to completely destroy the Golden Rose. Also, by information, offer a price to all the informants. I want to know who the person behind the Golden Rose is. I have prepared 100 billion for them. He did not believe that all the important people would always be guarding Meng Nan. As long as he had the chance, he would act first and report later, and bring Meng Nan to the security bureau at that time. It would be a huge merit. But Tian Qiguang did not plan to give up. Roughly how many people does the Golden Rose have? Tang Tian suddenly asked. The voice that came out from the shadows caused Lei Erfu's forehead to perspire. He lowered his body even more. I don't know yet. Just at that moment, someone knocked on the door. Tian Qiguang's train of thought was interrupted. He frowned unhappily. Come in. Su Jin did not hesitate at all. He immediately expressed his support for Tang Tian. Using the warship as leverage, borrowing 60 billion was not a problem for the Suji worldwide commerce. The value of the warship itself was more than 60 billion. Furthermore, Tang Tian was a big customer that held black gold. Su Jin had been immersed in the business world for many years, and he was very clear of Tang Tian's potential. Yes, all the guilds, the Dark Guild, the Mercenary Guild, all the guilds have received the reward. He has already paid 40 billion as a security deposit. And 3,000 Empyrean ice tree spears. Little Nine was extremely excited. What relationship does he have with the Suji worldwide commerce? Wait a while more. The voice in the shadows was extremely cold. Send people to watch them. This time we have to catch them all. With a trembling hand, Richard threw out the offers one by one. Do it. Why aren't we doing it? Gu Luan immediately reacted, his killing intent soaring. There is a Golden Rose stronghold on the next street. Not many people know about it. We will take it down first. Damn it, at least a few 100 million. Everyone fuck this fellow. Gu Luan's heart was also extremely excited, but he was after all the leader and forced himself to remain calm. Little Nine, what business is it? Who is the other party? A cold snort came from above. Lei Er's clothes were instantly drenched in cold sweat. He immediately said, this subordinate will immediately go and investigate. Inside the small boat, other than Tang Tian, there was also Han Xin, who was extremely anxious, and Richard, who had not fully recovered from his injuries. The 13 families. Have you investigated clearly? The 3 words Golden Rose instantly caused the extremely excited members, as though a bucket of ice water had been poured over them, and they immediately quietened down. To do business in White Sands, how could they not know how powerful the Golden Rose was? Those who dared to go against the Golden Rose would not be able to live to see tomorrow. Not low, not low. Richard immediately reacted and immediately advised. For ordinary assassins, 10 million is too much. They are only worth 2 million. Tang Tian asked Richard curiously, is this price attractive? 100 billion. Who did the Golden Rose offend? Gu Luan muttered he was at a loss. Mengnan? Richard was startled. Ah? He sat on the ground like a pile of mud. Chapter 6:13. No one noticed that an extremely ordinary person had quietly left the room. Is the situation very bad? Ling Xia probed. But... Ling Xia hesitated. Ling Yuanhong's gaze was deep. We have made all sorts of deductions. He Ying and Lady Ro have already completed their arrangements. The situation is extremely disadvantageous to us. If this goes on, our chances of winning will only get smaller and smaller. We have to have a disruptor who goes on a rampage. A huge fireball soared into the sky and exploded, causing all of White Sands City to tremble. This was the largest stronghold of the Golden Rose, and it had also become the biggest piece of fat meat. You think I'm using him? Ling Yuanhong laughed out loud. Don't worry, you don't need to do anything as long as you pay attention to him and help him when he is in trouble. I have a premonition that this fellow is definitely a born troublemaker. This fellow was just an outsider, yet he was so arrogant and despotic. There would definitely be countless people who found him an eyesore. As long as the Security Bureau pretended to be weak, they would add fuel to the fire in the dark, causing the White Sands City to become even more chaotic. Assassinations, kidnappings, causing all the big families to feel pain. They would naturally vent all their anger on the asshole. People came out of their homes and looked at the bright red fireball with complicated expressions. An indifferent voice came from behind. Too crazy. Ling Xia muttered. Sure enough, silencing them, what made him despair even more was that the Lord had disappeared. He knew how powerful that Lord was. If he was willing to help him, he might have a chance to survive. Ling Xia rarely saw such a complicated and hesitant expression on her father's face. Although her father was warm and gentle, but he was firm on the inside. He was decisive and insightful. Don't worry, he will die soon. The voice in the shadow was as calm as ever. Ling Yuanhong nodded in agreement. Very crazy. Ling Xia woke up in the morning and had just finished washing up when she was called over by her father. When her father saw her, he handed her a piece of paper. Ling Xia's heart trembled. She knew that her father definitely knew something. It hasn't been peaceful recently. Ling Yuanhong muttered. For a family with such a long history like the Ling family, it could be said that they had deep roots in White Sands, and the depth of their influence was something that outsiders could not imagine. There was no joy on He Ying's face as he coldly said, "Don't create trouble for me. I've asked you to come here to deal with the eldest young master. In the end you failed and now you've caused such trouble. If eldest young noble dies, the White Sands continent will be ours. At that time, you can do whatever you want. But before that you have to kill him first. If it weren't for the fact that Madam and I are being watched closely, do you think we would need your help?" Why? Ling Xia was startled. Ling Yuanhong laughed bitterly. Now that such a crazy and ferocious fellow has come, I wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Yes, I just thought of it. Ling Yuanhong did not avoid the topic. So crazy, so unruly, such a daring fellow. Is there anyone more suitable than him to disrupt the situation? You've done well these past few years. Sai, your death is a great loss to me. What a pity. The Continent Lord is completely obsessed with women. Madame Ro has complete control over the Continent Lord's mansion. It's hard for us to even see the Continent Lord. All the people in the Continent Lord's mansion were replaced by Madame Ro's maids. We had thought of infiltrating the Continent Lord's mansion, but who knew that the maid's strength was unfathomable? We lost many people. Lady Ro's background is definitely not simple. Ling Yuanhong gritted his teeth. They are about to make their move. Ling Yuanhong's tone was heavy. The Third and Fourth Army have already sided with He Ying. Madame Ro, who controls the internal affairs, has been roping in half of the families in the White Sands continent. Tang Tian was famous, extremely famous. But the official order has not been passed down. Xianxia did not understand. In just one day the entire White Sands continent knew that there was such a tyrannical, crazy and rich tyrant. The footsteps outside got closer and closer. Lei Erfu did not dare wait any longer. He went to the fireplace and opened the secret passage. It was his last line of defense. He could even recognize a few familiar voices. The people who used to bow and scrape to him were now wielding blades and swords, killing their way to his door. They used to tremble under the light of the golden rose, but now the astronomical bounty had caused them to lose their fear. They had banded together and planned to feast on the golden rose's corpse. The shadow did not escape from the secret passage, but closed it. At the same time he moved Lei Erfu's body to the table. Although his reputation was not a good one, crazy, cruel, stupid, etc. But no one dared to provoke him and no one dared to look down on him. It was said that when the commander of the Second Army, He Ying, received the news, he flew into a rage and killed 3 of his favorite dancers to vent his anger. This subordinate knows what to do, Tian Qiguang said respectfully. The huge sum of money caused countless people to take the risk. The fear they had towards the Golden Rose was completely dispelled by the sea of cloud coins. In the entire White Sands continent, the 32 strongholds of the Golden Rose were massacred. The most famous dark powerhouse of the White Sands continent was uprooted in a single night. The second thing is to form a good relationship with Mengnan. Ling Yuanhong's words shocked everyone. Xianxia reacted. Although her face still had traces of shock and absent-mindedness, she laughed bitterly. Basically zero. His family background and the power he has, we do not know anything. The Golden Rose was completely finished. Yes. Ling Yuanhong admitted that when he first received the news he was inferior to his daughter, but at the moment he had already calmed down. Xianxia heaved a sigh of relief. She did not believe her father's words. Although she and Mengnan had not known each other for long and felt that he was a straightforward person, but he was still reasonable and was completely unlike what her father had said. Did Continent Lord not sense anything at all? Xianxia asked in a daze. Countless people saw Lei Erfu sitting on the chair. Their eyes lit up. All of them roared and pounced on Lei Erfu, quarreling, scolding, fighting. The entire room was in chaos. The night of bloodshed. It's already here. It just arrived this morning. Ling Yuanhong handed over a transfer order to Xianxia. On it was a bright red seal. It was the official transfer order. This is the result of Master Su Ao by personally pushing for it. Do not have any misgivings. You need to grasp the 5th Army in the shortest time possible. Ling Yuanhong saw Xia's expression, and immediately understood his daughter's thoughts. He laughed out loud and did not explain. She received it with a look of suspicion, and when she saw the contents, the remaining sleepiness immediately disappeared. Her hands trembled as though the paper weighed 500 kilograms. Her throat became dry. This is real? The Golden Rose was finished. The once strongest dark powerhouse in White Sands continent was completely finished. In that moment everyone was in danger. The incessant sounds of explosions, groans, screams penetrated through the thick and heavy door. Lei Erfu's entire body was trembling. He no longer had the graceful bearing of the single-eyed dark snake. Every time the fanatical shouts came out from outside, it would cause his entire body to tremble, fear and defeat written all over his face. Lei Erfu's face had a strange smile and he fell down. The White Sands continent had no lack of rich and powerful people, and there were many whose net worth surpassed Tang Tian, but no one had ever used such a ruthless method to take revenge. It's a little bad. Ling Yuanhong sighed. Ever since He Ying offered Lady Ro to the Continent Lord 3 years ago, the Continent Lord has been neglecting politics. 2 years ago I heard that many of the politics were handled by Lady Ro and I knew something was wrong. Lady Ro's methods are extremely brilliant. In just 2 years, how many old faces are left in the Internal Affairs Department? Last month, eldest young noble was in danger. If not for Master Su Ao by secretly sending people to protect him, I'm afraid. A stern look flashed past his eyes. The bronze mechanism beside the stone wall of the secret passage. Under the house, there were many powerful energy crystals installed. He pressed the mechanism and in a minute, the intense explosion would blow the entire place into pieces. All of the greedy and despicable people would be blown into pieces. Xianxia never thought that the situation would be so terrible. Her face became pale white. Tian Qiguang was roused. He felt that the master's idea was brilliant. Bang! Suddenly Lei Erfu felt a pain in his chest. His expression froze. A sword tip had pierced through his chest. After leaving He Ying's residence, Tian Qiguang immediately gave the Public Security Bureau a day off, and announced that he was sick. The originally chaotic market became even more chaotic, and murders occurred one after another on the streets. A shadow quietly appeared behind him. Understood. Xianxia nodded her head. He changed the topic. How much do you know about him? Just as Tian Qiguang left, a voice came out from the shadow. Your idea is not bad. What made Lei Erfu afraid the most was that they wanted his life. About 10 seconds later, bang, the door was smashed open by the crazy flow of people. Isn't he worried that I will reveal what I did in the past? Ling Yuanhong nodded his head. That is also the reason why I called you over. You need to do two things. First, immediately go and take over the Fifth Army. But the master did not appear. You said Mengnan? Xianxia thought she heard wrongly. Xianxia opened her eyes wide, her face filled with disbelief. Don't tell me they. 10 billion cloud coins, 1,000 Empyrean ice tree spears. Lei Erfu's heart was filled with despair. Then what do we do now? Xianxia asked blankly. Although she was talented, she was still young. When Tian Qiguang ran to He Ying to ask for help, He Ying calmed down from his anger. He quickly thought of an idea and sneered. That's right, since the Public Security Bureau is paralyzed, then let it be paralyzed. Think about it, if even the Public Security Bureau is afraid of his savagery, then who will protect the citizens of White Sands? Protect the families? Such a cruel action will only cause blood to flow in White Sands City like a river. Only when enough blood is shed will they realize the importance of the Public Security Bureau, and understand who their enemies are. The Public Security Bureau was deserted. More than 70% of the employees had resigned, causing the Public Security Bureau to be paralyzed. The Public Security Bureau that was unbridled in the past was actually frightened to such a state, and pushed Tang Tian's reputation to an unprecedented height. Chapter 6:14. After listening for a while, he understood that Richard Jr. was doing research on spirits. This is a warship weapon specially used on warships. Their warships are extremely powerful. If we do not have a warship, we will definitely be at a disadvantage. Furthermore, I realized that the zero-energy bodies in warships are a perfect match. I have no way to drag a warship over, so I only bought a few blueprints, materials, and these warship weapons. You need to immediately research on them. The most important thing is breaking the rules. Our aristocratic families do not play like that. Everyone has money. If we do that, we will only become everyone's enemy. Time. The most important thing is time. We need to hurry before the star door opens. Only then will it be meaningful. Once the star door opens, our advantage will immediately become zero. He was even more curious about Tang Tian's identity. With so many spirit objects, he had no choice but to overturn his conjecture about Tang Tian. No. If they have them, who can stop them? Bell replied with certainty and then muttered. From the looks of it, Temple and the Honorable Martial Continent should be able to communicate, but they are unable to do so. If that's the case, the Honorable Martial Continent's spirit laboratory should be in Temple. Something's wrong. Ling Xia, an eldest young noble, appeared at the entrance of the Ling family courtyard. What a powerful attack. Tang Cho muttered. He suddenly thought of a question. Does the Honorable Martial Alliance have such a warship? Eldest young noble. Oh my, didn't I already pay? Tang Cho threw a huge bomb at White Sands City, and in the blink of an eye he had forgotten about it. That's right. Bai Yu sighed. Recently the White Sands continent is not peaceful. I hope Brother Meng does not get dragged into it. Su Jin, who was closely observing the situation, naturally knew about it, and greeted Richard politely. Capable people would always win respect. In this day and age, any brick with a spirit was a treasure. What did the Honorable Martial Continent rely on to rise? It was spirits. Spirits had many benefits, and the most direct benefit was intelligence. If a saint could give birth to a spirit, then they could completely let the saint's spirit deduce laws. If a mechanism had a spirit, it would become stronger, it would become smarter, and could even strengthen itself. Tang Tian simply demonstrated the honeycomb sword cannon. Its terrifying might caused everyone to jump in fright. Originally, Su Jin did not intend to disturb Little Richard, but when he accidentally heard the word soul in Little Richard's words, he could not help but stop and listen carefully. Everyone's faces became ugly. If their armies were to face such an attack, They would not even have the strength to retaliate. The haze in everyone's hearts was swept away, and their morale was greatly boosted. Zhou Xian was very happy. Since he had nothing to do, he came to Tang Tian's place to hang around. He was very curious about Tang Tian. Bai Xiao also had a distressed expression on her face. Tang Tian's bounty had completely toppled Bai Xiao's understanding of the world. Messing with the other party was the right thing to do, but what about schemes? What about the method? What about the layout? Without anything, he just used money to smash the other party to death. Tang Tian's methods were simple and crude to the point of making one's hair stand on end. He'd broken all the rules and stirred up a storm. Thanks to Tang Tian, the market was not peaceful recently, it was extremely chaotic, and the number of people buying weapons and equipment increased greatly, causing the Suji worldwide commerce's business to flourish. Facing Tang Tian's request to keep it a secret, Zhou Xian happily agreed to it, especially after knowing that Tang Tian refused to sell the spirit objects. He hoped to be able to participate in little Richard's research. Zhou Xian saw that the young man looked familiar, and after a while he realized that the young man looked similar to Richard, and then remembered that Tang Tian's group had a little Richard. Although he did not know how the Honorable Martial Continent solved the problem, but it was obvious that other people were unable to solve the problem. That's right. Tang Chou quickly regained his senses. Compared to them, we have a huge advantage. We can place the spirit laboratory in the Sacred Saint Galaxy, and send the star treasures and spirit treasures there. We can also send the materials to Heaven's Road and build warships there. As long as we can research and create warships, we can directly kill the Honorable Martial Alliance and Temple. Adding our zero energy bodies, no one can stop us. And with star treasures and spirit treasures, Master will have the advantage in the Sacred Saint Galaxy. Then when he entered Little Richard's laboratory and saw the cabinet filled with spirit objects, he was immediately dumbstruck. What does that have to do with us? Zhou Xian, who had met with Tang Tian's dust, said, "Anyways, as long as he gives me money, I will sell it to him. I am not afraid of a war." Seeing that everyone was so excited, Tang Tian suddenly felt that the young man no longer had any worries. That's right. You arms dealer. Bai Yu had a look of disdain. Just as he turned into the inner courtyard, he suddenly saw a young man who was muttering to himself. He seemed to have forgotten himself. Upon knowing that the spirit objects came from Tang Tian, Zhou Xian immediately walked over to Tang Tian and requested to buy the spirit objects. Zhou Xian was currently racking his brains, wanting to curry favor with Tang Tian. His mind was filled with spirit objects. He was very clear that it was a huge gamble. If he won, his future, the rest of his life, oh no, the prosperity of his family for many generations, could all be foreseen. Such a thick thigh, if he were to miss it, he would definitely regret it for life. He was careful and did not tell the Suji worldwide commerce about the news, as it was his personal investment. Tang Chou's words caused everyone to be roused. After a large number of people met with a wall, Richard's name became famous in the circle. Upon thinking about who would provoke him in the future, without saying a word, he would throw out tens of billions as a reward. What awaited his enemies would be endless assassinations, never to see the light of day. Spirit objects. The uncle and nephew of the Bai family could do nothing about it. Bai Yu laughed bitterly. That fellow is too crazy. If I were to buy his army with his temper, whoever dares to provoke him, I reckon that he will immediately bring his men to flatten them. Zhou Xian was a shrewd person and immediately regained his senses and laughed. Uncle Bai truly has deep connections. Didn't you say that the price is very high? Is the method effective? Oh, as long as it is effective, all right, this young man is very busy, there are many things to do, you will not understand the troubles of a young man. That's right. Our conditions are much better than in the past. That's right. That's what I do. Zhou Xian was roused. Uncle is worried that he will cause trouble. No problem, uncle can give me the quota for the army, I will buy it. The money was spent happily and was very tyrannical, but in the blink of an eye, tens of billions had been spent. The money was borrowed, and Tang Tian was desperately urging Bing to quickly refine the black gold, and quickly send the black gold over to repay the debt. When Bing heard that Tang Tian owed tens of billions of debt, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. What kind of game is this? Zhou Xian, who had regained his senses, was extremely slippery, and did not reveal any inside information. She suddenly laughed sweetly, but her words were extremely tyrannical. Isn't it just fighting? Didn't we fight our way through like this? Furthermore, we already have such a huge advantage. it is already much better than before. Tang Tian said to Sai Lei. 3 Spirits City. Little Richard was extremely excited to meet someone who was like him, and immediately invited Su Jin to visit his laboratory. Su Jin revealed a bitter smile. Uncle, you're right. Sai Lei's gaze was completely attracted to the warship weapons. The weapons that were completely different from Heaven's Road released a fatal allure. He could not help but laugh, but he did not think much of it. Ever since the rise of the Honorable Martial Continent, spirit research was the most popular research. But Su Jin knew how big the hole was. Countless people had jumped into it, but no one had ever climbed out. Regaining his senses, Su Jin's eyes immediately became bloodshot. Wuxia. The recent news is not good. Bai Xiao said. The market is too chaotic, there are all sorts of rumors, and in the past few days there have been a few murder cases. Many people are pointing their spears at Brother Meng, thinking that he broke the rules. Something is wrong. In a tea house not far from the Ling family courtyard, Su Jin was pulled over by the Bai family uncle and nephew for tea. Bai Yu and Bai Xiao looked at each other. Bai Yu laughed. Of course he will cause trouble, but it will not be easy for him to gain any benefits from Brother Meng. Isn't it said that a fierce dragon does not cross the river? Brother Meng is a fierce dragon that is not fierce. The army that I picked for Brother Meng is already on the way. Tang Tian thought about it, then agreed. I have to give face to the creditor. The atmosphere suddenly became serious. Su Jin happily went over. After a few conversations, Little Richard's ideas made his eyes light up, and he even had the thought of funding him for his research. The Bai family uncle and nephew were startled. The two of them looked towards Su Jin's direction, and their faces immediately changed. Tang Tian jumped in fright. He did not have any plans to sell spirit objects. If the spirit objects were to appear in the market, wouldn't that tell the Honorable Martial Continent that someone was coming from Heaven's Road? To attract the attention of the Honorable Martial Continent now was definitely seeking death. Su Jin was prepared to find Tang Tian. He was said to be training. He truly is able to keep his composure, to actually have the mood to train at such a time. What weapon merchants hate the most is peace. Su Jin's abnormal behavior for the past few days immediately attracted the attention of Bai Yu and the rest. Tang Tian was worried about returning the money, but Su Jin was not. How could Tang Tian, who had the black gold, or be lacking money? But Tang Tian's reward made his eyes light up, and he became extremely excited. Su Jin was ecstatic. He knew that Little Richard's research had a bright future, and was the most important investment in his life. He packed all of the equipment in Su Ji Worldwide Commerce Laboratory and sent them over, and then invested all of his savings into Little Richard's laboratory. But Little Richard's mutterings attracted Su Jin's interest. Su Jin's understanding of spirits was much deeper than ordinary people. Thus the two of them started to discuss happily. It was simple. Spirit objects were expensive and rare. Walking into the Ling family courtyard, Richard was extremely busy. He was trying to gather information about the 13 families. Now that everyone knew that Richard had a tycoon backing him, all of the information peddlers in White Sands became active. Many of them felt that Tang Tian was a fool with money, and wanted to fish in troubled waters, but they met Richard. Richard was not a qualified intelligence agent, but his understanding of the 13 families was much deeper than ordinary people, and what information was reliable and what was not, he was able to quickly differentiate. What Tang Tian was worried about now was to return the money. It will be good if there are more of them. Maybe I can complete the task earlier this year. Someone wants to deal with him. Su Jin was experienced and said without hesitation, it should be He Ying. He is the most suspicious. Chapter 6:15. Because Sun Jia was dead, the 8th Army and the 36th Army were wiped out. If the vast star continent did not make any moves, the other powerhouses that were eyeing the vast star continent would pounce on them like wolves. So, Bu Zifei not only wanted to win this battle, he wanted to win it beautifully. The vast star continent needed a victory, an unquestionable victory, to prove to the various continents of the southern region that they had the strength to protect their own wealth. The vanguard unit had 50 men, but all of them were experts. Long Nan was a famous lone bandit in the past. His strength was outstanding, but after being recruited by Bu Zifei, he changed his name to the vanguard unit. Suddenly he stopped. That fist was his killing technique. A third of the energy in his body transformed into blazing flames that revolved at high speeds, converging into a fire vortex with a diameter of 60 m, like a gigantic fiery red disk. Is the vast star continent a snail? It's been so many days and they're still not here? Ling Su was extremely unhappy. Guarding the estuary every day was simply delaying his training. Long Nan's eyes were wide open. He roared and punched out with his right fist. He did not dare hope for the standard of the precious Bright Village Regiment scouts, but luckily for Jing Hao and the other two, the three of them were strong enough, and using them as scouts was overkill, so he could only make do. Through the gap of the fiery whirlpool disc, a man wielding a big sword appeared. He had assimilated the spear technique into his spear techniques, and very quickly realized that the spear technique could not only be used for traveling, but could also be used in battles. But Crazy Tang was able to sell the black gold for a good price, which made him heave a sigh of relief. Money was a big problem, and in truth Bing's ability to earn money was not that good. But Crazy Tang was not a person who knew his place. Wherever he went he would stir up trouble. They're here. The black sword's stronghold in the center lit up with a dazzling light aura. Following that, the light aura flowed out like water. The 36 sword strongholds hummed at the same time. The light auras were like swords soaring into the sky. The sharp alarm resonated throughout the river, causing everyone's face to change. They could not help but stop what they were doing, and when they reacted, they all rushed into the sword forest stronghold. As expected, when he rushed out of the passage, his mind trembled, as though he had barged into an invisible net. Hearing that Crazy Tang had bought 2 armies, Bing was stunned. He had never heard that armies could be bought. The team members who had just flown out of the tunnel suddenly lost control of their bodies as if they were drunk. Bu Zifei was extremely familiar with the contents of the summary, and had read through it many times. Sun Jie's strength was not inferior to his, but he had actually died in battle. This also made him not dare to underestimate his future enemies in the slightest. Although the summary was all about underestimating the enemy, Shi Sen's betrayal, etc., but Bu Zifei was not affected by these descriptions at all. Perhaps Sun Jie had underestimated his opponent, and Shi Sen's betrayal had indeed played a huge role. However, his opponent's battle prowess was also quite strong. Although mental attacks were hard to defend against, they were not very lethal. Their main function was to disturb one's mind. As long as they could get out of this area, their team members would be able to fight again. 200 men guard the ship. The rest of you abandon the ship and enter the island. The 7th Army quickly completed their formation and flew towards the estuary. Speaking of Shi Sen's betrayal, the Continent Lord was enraged. The Continent Lord was not angry because of Shi Sen's betrayal, but because such a powerful talent was actually buried in the vast star continent, which was like a slap to the vast star continent's face. All the guesses about Shi Sen after continuous investigations were all rejected. The changes in the 36th Army also surfaced. Sun Zheng's mediocrity and usurpation of power was the root cause of the 36th Army's corruption. Around the estuary there were no strongholds and no defenses. It could be seen that the enemy's strength was limited. To any continent, setting up cannons around the estuary was the most basic defense. The area around the Shang continent's estuary was empty. There was nothing. Fire whirlpool disc. The vanguard unit will enter first. Be careful, be on guard against the enemy's sneak attack. Bu Zifei said solemnly. Entering the continent was the easiest time to be ambushed. The 4 walls of light were extremely bright, and below them white clouds and forests could be seen. He risked getting injured to destroy the layer of spear net. The members of the vanguard unit who had lost control of their bodies suddenly exploded with blood. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 of them were pierced through. This fist could sweep out a path in the rain of spears. Not far away, Crane and Jing Hao were floating cross-legged in the air, their eyes closed in rest. The difference was Crane's crane sword was floating by his side, while Jing Hao's drunk on Saint Blood was placed horizontally on his legs. He fiercely bit his tongue. The intense pain and the blood in his mouth allowed him to temporarily escape from the mental attack, and his gaze immediately landed on the terrifying mental attack. After the previous battle, drunk on Saint Blood had drunk its fill. Its killing intent had become even more astonishing, restless. However, Jing Hao was unmoving, firmly suppressing it. But he did not expect that the net in front of them was not just a single one. The vast star continent had a total of 8 silver armies. Other than Sun Jie's 8th army, there were 7 other silver armies. But the most important thing was to repair the pontoon bridge, to deal with the small groups of blue dwarves that might appear at any time. The 2 silver armies were a necessity. The one who suffered the greatest loss in the battle was undoubtedly the Sun family. Sun Jie's importance to the Sun family was irreplaceable. Anyone with a bit of insight would know that Sun Jie's death was the turning point of the Sun family's decline. Furthermore, Sun Jing was still in the hands of the mysterious people from the Shang continent. If the Sun family wanted to redeem him, they would have to pay a huge price. Bing swept his gaze across the completed Sword Forest stronghold, revealing a satisfied look. The completed Sword Forest stronghold was completely capable of withstanding powerful attacks, even if he only had the precious Bright Village regiment. His recent condition was extremely good, his spear techniques had improved by a lot, but he could not focus on training, causing him to be unhappy. The spear auras pursued quantity and the area they covered and were not strong, but when used in such a situation, it was filled with destructive power. All of these investigations were the reason why the vast star continent did not immediately send out their troops. Without clarifying the reason, the vast star continent was like a thorn in their back. If they were to be watched by someone without knowing, it would be extremely dangerous. Is it finally here? Although he roared without stopping as though his patience had reached its limit, but his spear attacks were not affected at all. Over and over again, the dry and dull training, he did not slow down at all. The three of them looked at each other. Crane stood up and the slender crane sword flew into his hand. Jing Hao held on to Drunk on Saint Blood and stood up without saying a word. The agitated Ling Su suddenly retracted all of his qi and quietly moved to the side for a few feet. The dense energy was able to disrupt mental attacks to a certain degree. This made Bu Zifei even more cautious. Not far away, Crane and Jing Hao opened their eyes at the same time. Counting the time, it was about time for the vast star continent to make their move. A silver aura suddenly lit up, filling his vision. The sharp spirit qi shot straight towards Long Nan's eyebrows. His heart trembled. It's a spear aura. How is that possible? Stab him to death. Stab him to death. Stab him to death. The dazzling fist aura blazed like a shooting star. The destructive spirit qi enveloped the entire area. The three of them were like hunters waiting to strike, quietly lying in wait. To the vast star continent, the Shang continent did not have any benefits. Such a barren land, even if they occupied it, what was the use? For a few 100,000 citizens? That was even more laughable. The black-robed young man held onto his sword. Like a dancing crane, he was ethereal and graceful. Bu Zifei carefully browsed through the summary of Sun Jie's battle. Bu Zifei gave the order without hesitation. The estuary quickly flew past Long Nan's vision, and as they were about to reach the end of the estuary, suddenly, Long Nan sensed something. His face changed and he bellowed, "Be careful." Long Nan disapproved of Bu Zifei's cautiousness, and hoped that the enemy would attack them. Bu Zifei laughed bitterly. In truth, he did not want to fight. But he had no choice but to fight. The spirit qi that Crane Sword emitted was completely different. At times it was ethereal, at times it was solemn and respectful. Even facing the raging waves of Drunk on Saint Blood, it was not affected at all. Bu Zifei was outstanding. He was a cautious person, and the 7th Army was a silver-grade army, so the entire vast star continent was extremely optimistic about this battle. 50 men, their formation looked to be in disorder, but they maintained a suitable distance between each other, so that if there were any changes, their comrades would be able to react in time. The tactics of the Vanguard Battalion was completely different from army tactics, and were similar to mercenaries, but their powerful individual strength ensured that they would be able to charge forward. Suddenly, an extreme sense of danger swept past his mind, and before he could react, the fire whirlpool disc in front of him, like a knife slicing through tofu, was sliced into two. Yes. The general of the Vanguard Battalion, Long Nan, acknowledged the order. He looked around and said, "Vanguard Battalion, move out." Usually, Sun Jie's 8th Army and Bu Zifei's 7th Army were extremely nimble and flexible and could move with ease. But the sudden change of events, the destruction of the 8th Army, directly caused the only one that could fight was Bu Zifei's 7th Army. Mental attack. Suddenly, the star treasure on his body gave a warning. Bing's heart trembled. Jing Hao and the rest had discovered traces of the enemy. Bu Zifei relaxed, but when he saw the estuary clearly, he shook his head. The estuary was only 50 m wide and the 7th Army's warship was unable to enter. Such a small estuary was truly unpresentable, and even slightly larger merchant ships could not fly in. Whoosh! Ling Su roared angrily, his body moving like lightning. One after another spear auras surrounded the estuary, continuously lighting up. It was him training spear sprint. All of them were skilled and daring. They did not freefall, but instead increased their speed and sprinted towards the ground like arrows, their speed extremely fast. The vast star continent was connected in all directions, and this created the vast star continent's commerce system, but it also meant that the vast star continent was a place of hundreds of battles, and there were many places that needed to be guarded. Some of the unimportant places could be guarded by ordinary armies, but for the crucial strongholds, silver armies were stationed there and could not be mobilized. The life and death of the Sun family had nothing to do with Bu Zifei. What he cared more about was the strength displayed by the enemy in the battle. Firstly were the experts, a few of them had extraordinary strength. Secondly were the strange weapons, the blue spears he suspected were the Empyrean ice tree spears, and the small copper boxes he had never heard of before. Zhou Xian's small team was much more powerful and elite than he had imagined, and after changing their equipment, the elite team gave Bu Zifei a headache. The report was compiled by the survivors that escaped. The entire process of the battle and many details were reconstructed, and all of this became an important basis to judge the enemy's strength. Long Nan never thought that he would actually encounter a mental attack in such a desolate place. Saints that were proficient in mental attacks were few.